Okay, and welcome to session 18 of our Rose of Westhaven campaign. Last session, our heroes, the Locke Adventuring Company, dealt with a demonic presence that was masquerading as Manannan, one of the pagan gods of the sea, although it was actually identified as a water demon known as Dogroth by William. They managed to defeat this creature by smashing an amulet that the cult priest had used to keep this creature in the mortal realm. They then dealt with most of the cultists, although a couple of them escaped on small boats, and they then received the gratitude of Jenny, who was the madam of the Crimson Maiden brothel. During all this shenanigans, Sasha's metamorphosis, let's call it, into some sort of semi-plant creature continued apace, and a small part of her hair detached as fibrous seed-like growths, almost like those you would find on a dandelion. Some of them drifted off. One of them found purchase in the cavern floor, and immediately a huge oak tree sprouted from it, bursting through the cavern ceilings, growing with great rapidity and rising high up into the sky above the buildings of Plymouth. Obviously, this has caused a great deal of commotion, although since it didn't harm the establishment that they were staying in, the Crimson Maiden, the Madam Jenny seems quite intent on potentially changing the name of her establishment in order to make a profit on this. The players were also able to, thanks to the miraculous resurrection of Argelia, the Lady of the Night who had spent time with Ogdrun, they were able to persuade the guards that obviously we haven't actually killed her, because look, here she is. We'll ignore the fact that she wasn't pregnant last time you saw her and she was dead, but here she is. At which point the guards were quite happy, went on their merry way. And now we find the Locke Adventuring Company pretty much free to go about their own devices and do whatever they see fit in the city of Plymouth. We're going to start in the sort of evening after the events of the previous session. You've all gone to sleep in the Crimson Maiden. What would the sleeping arrangements be? Obviously, she said you can have rooms and board, but are you all taking like an individual room?
I imagine me and Hamish will probably be put in our cordon away zone room.
Yeah, the egg zone.
Okay, so we have one room which has a dwarf and a giant fat man from the Olden While Inn, both of whom have a penchant for eating a ridiculous amount of pickled eggs, and as a result are quite fragrant, to put it diplomatically. They've been sort of put in like the furthest away room from the rest of you can get. We already know that Ogdrun and his wife, as he sees it, Argelia, had already sort of been given one of the suites. It's not really a suite, but it's a slightly fancier room. And every now and again, one of the sort of the serving people in the brothel will like come and check, whether you need any more sort of like towels, water, etc., that sort of thing. But what about William and Sasha? Are you dossing down in the egg zone with the dwarf? Are you people going for like a third room?
I would assume Sasha would sleep in the same room with Hamo, because we have a female retainer also, and William would just go wherever. If they got some equivalent of a couch, he would go there.
Sasha, would you be bothered about William sharing a room with you? Hamo's not bothered. She's just like, whatever.
No, she's probably more bothered by Hamo.
What is it that bothers you about Hamo?
She's used to William. He's as long as there's no snoring or farting.
Well, I can't promise that. I mean, Hamo, bless her, she's a bit rough and tumble.
Before we retire for the evening, obviously, we know Ogdrun kind of went off to his room with the junior, but I don't think we know anything about the marriage or anything like that, do we?
He would have mentioned it in passing as he's fetching some food from downstairs to take up.
So you guys have been having like a bit of a discussion before you retire for the evening. As you're retiring for the evening, the weather starts to take a turn for the worse. You can hear rain beating down outside. Obviously, it's evening, so all the wooden shutters are drawn in the tavern, but you can hear the rain beating down. You can hear the sound of thunder rolling in the distance.
she wants to wash her hair and see how much of this plant matter is freed.
Okay, a few more strands of your hair come away as you're washing it, but it's literally like a few more strands. It doesn't seem to have like drastically increased since last time.
She actually wants to do one more thing. She'll take the dandelions and she'll go over to Ogren again and disturb him another time and knock on the door. And
yeah. Well, yeah, he shows up at the door, probably like just naked. It's like, yeah, what?
Oh, so she kind of swoops in under his.
As you're doing that, Sasha, you hear a from behind you, and you see one of the ladies who works at the establishment was sort of like just paused at the top of the stairs and was sort of like walking up the stairs, and obviously like Oddrun's just like answered the door like naked as the day he was born, and she just sort of stopped. She like looks over appreciatively, whistles, and then like goes about her business.
Would you mind if I did a little magic in here?
Why?
I have these, and she kind of holds out the bucket of dandelions. I wanna test magic, and I wanna test if she's magic. And she kind of glances over to Agilia in the bed.
Well, I appreciate the gesture, but we don't need flower magic here. We're quite happy with Dagon's blessing as is. So, and it is, behold, Dagon blesses us even now. You have to but open your eyes and ears, look out and see.
Yeah, but it won't take long. I mean, it's a quick ritual.
And indeed, really, as he says, you have only but to look out and see. You can see that the shutters are actually open in this room. And Oddrun, you know that is because as the rain started to fall, Argelia asked you if you could open the shutters. She said like the sound of the rain made her feel more peaceful and comforted.
And then she cast Detect Magic.
Okay, as you look at the dandelion seeds in your hand, they do not register as magical at all, but when you move your eyes and cast them over Argelia, you do see a very faint glow outlining the pregnant bump of her stomach.
Okay. She does her best to appear professional and not appear surprised or shocked. Oh, okay. That seems to be fine. She smiles. Good night. Again, she kind of looks over to Oddrun and see if he's okay with it, and she kind of backs out of the room.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything you want to do before you retire for the evening?
Yeah, effectively, as Sasha leaves, Maddock will take it as a green light that Oddrun is clearly awake and taking visitors. So he's going to wait for Sasha to go down and just knock on the door.
So Oddrun, you're just like, oh, that's Sasha dealt with. Can finally get on with some serious business. You've turned round to like your wife to see how she is, and you just sort of like about to say something when you hear her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Oddrun opens the door again.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah. Whoa, Cage, the serpent fella.
Don't need any more flowers here, okay? We've got enough flowers.
Hey, I'm not selling flowers, mate. I just want you to put that thing away.
What away? And he looks around to see, like, what?
I like how, because Oddrun is tall and better, so he's an eyesight.
Yeah, exactly.
So Oddrun is looking like, what? I don't...
Yeah, like, Oddrun, you junk. I'll just...
Just...
I don't want it in my face. Put a hand over it. Do something. Be a towel.
So he goes and like grabs his shirt and just like holds it in front of him.
He just kind of like leans around the door, probably seeing Argelia in bed, and be like, "Oh, I heard voices. I thought you were up. Not that way. I mean, awake."
I think I am.
Right, I bought that Nakadama from William, or yourselves. I was just wondering if you could fix it at some point. I didn't know that you two were...
Like, I don't fix armor, I paid the dwarf to fix armor. 'Cause he fixed my my flail, and like he points back in the room with the giga flail in the corner.
Well, I just assumed because you had something like that, and you seem to be pretty handy at making everything else, you could just fix armor and stuff.
No, you see, I pound people with the flail. I don't do the whole. There's a dwarf. I can introduce you in Portsmouth when we get there.
I know him. He's a worker fellow. I'll let you and your girlfriend get on.
I would like to try to speak to Sasha when she comes back. Just looking to Sasha. So, we are taking this woman with us now?
Yeah.
Do you think that's a good idea?
It's not a bad idea.
I mean, I'm not normal, but we don't know what it is.
I think it's somewhat related to you, I would suspect. The fish people, kind of like a mix of human and something else.
So we are getting a fish.
I don't think it's a fix. I think it's what do you call them? Like your cousins. So it's kind of like half cousin, half human. So it's more.
It's from a different demon lord, so it's basically not really related to me per se. I'm not sure how the gods are related in any way. I never actually bothered to ask.
Yeah, but it's kind of like where you are. It kind of looks for a hemo. Spirit in flesh, and this might be spirit bound in flesh.
The thing is, I'm not really sure if I'm comfortable having her around as long as we don't pay her. And it seems like Audrin doesn't want to pay her in some way.
Oh my god, what is it with you on paying people? You don't have enough money to pay everyone.
You didn't realize it yet, did you? I have gotten powers from our employee. I can control people I pay. She wants...
Stop. Our employee?
My employee, if you want to.
No, I need a name. Who is your employee?
The lady?
But you've gotten powers from her?
Yes. What do you think why I can control rats now? That's the same thing.
Some sort of, your kind evolution thing. Not.
I can't do this on my own. I'm not able to increase my own powers in that way. I had to be guided, and that was what I made a contract her with.
Well,
she gave me powers, and I helped her killing this guy.
Yeah, but so you're taking that awfully casual.
Yeah.
How did she give you powers? How can she do that?
She had a book.
She had a book? Okay, what was the book?
She could summon me with it, so I'm pretty sure it's pretty powerful.
It's not the book, right?
It could be.
So what, you had an suspicion that she had the book and you didn't say it?
Well, I didn't. I'm pretty sure I did.
This book could set you free.
Yeah, no.
So if she has the book...
Theoretically, I could try to kill her and get it, yes. The thing is, I'm pretty sure I can't use it myself. I'm not sure.
I mean, it's not a book that...
I didn't ask her. I'm usually not asking people who summon me and can potentially rub me out of my body. Too many questions. It's usually not good for making deals, No,
but this was... Okay, so John, out of character, this book was the big book from Corbin, right?
That is correct.
That they didn't get when they left, but they know that this is the book that kind of binds and can freeze demon?
That is correct.
Corbin is not likely to give this book to anyone. So, what, she stole it from him, too?
It could also be that she works for him. I'm not sure. Or maybe she is some kind of partner or allies. There are lots of options. We don't have much information. That's why I tried to use a spy to get some more information. But you used it on Corbin. Maybe he will find some connection between her and Corbin while we are away.
I have to go speak with Acorn again. Yeah, so... They're still up?
I am now.
Okay, so... She goes in unless he bolts the door.
No, he comes to open the door.
But by this time, when Sasha turns up, Argelia has actually fallen asleep. She's got sort of like a couple of like pillows behind her, so she's like propped up in a semi-seated position. But she's sort of like fallen asleep, like resting against the open window. Like, you can see a bit of the rain sort of spattering on the side of her face, and she's got a lovely, peaceful smile on her face as she's gently sleeping.
Come with me.
To pick more flowers?
What is it with you? No.
No, it's you and the flowers. They were definitely yours, not mine.
Yeah, okay. No, it's not about flowers, it's about, her.
Well?
I sure want to talk about her in front of her.
She sleeps.
Okay, so you know about this evil man that sometimes go by the name of Corbin and sometimes no and Stormcrow, right?
I'm not sure, but is this the father that you fled from?
Yeah, my uncle. So his thing is that he kidnap innocent children and do mean things to them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, magical children.
I don't, but sure.
And the newest edition is carrying a magical child. Your wife has a magical child. If we go back to Port Crawl and we encounter him, he might spot her, he might notice the baby, and he might want to take the baby.
I don't understand what your uncle has to do with this blessed child.
My uncle is in cahoots with Douglas that we fought down below.
Yes?
That is the enemy of Dagon, right?
Well, if you can call it an enemy.
Oh,
I mean, it was vanquished very easily.
Uh-huh. Okay. So I'm going to put it bluntly, Agron. If we take her back to Port Crawl, there's a risk that he will know about that and try to get the child.
Well, when he tries, I will simply crush him.
Oh, she smiled. Cool. Well, I guess that's that then. Okay,
Yeah.
Good night.
Okay. Glad to be of service, he says as he like fucking slams the door.
Okay, so I'm going to presume that's the end of everyone's nightly endeavours.
Yes.
Okay, so you all
Now she can sleep.
drift off to sleep.
Great.
So
More dreams.
you've all drifted off to sleep. You're having a nice restful sleep. When Sasha, you're not sure what awakens you. Maybe it's a rumble of thunder. Maybe it's particularly like maybe it's some of the leaves falling from the giant tree outside. But as you sort of wake up, you hear what sounds like furtive movement, like someone's creeping around on the sort of the sort of hallway outside your rooms. It doesn't seem to be like coming towards your room. It's going past your room. If anything, it seems to be heading towards Audrun's room.
She slides out of bed. She will take one of her pistols and carefully unbolt the door.
Okay.
Just peek outside.
Okay. As you peek out, you can see that the landing, the corridor outside, is quite dark. There were sort of like candles placed in holders, but since it's very late at night, I mean, sort of glancing through like the little sort of slits in the shutters, judging by where the moon is, etc., you think it must be about midnight. The candles have obviously all been extinguished. It's pitch black as you look out. You can hear this like shuffling sort of furtive movements, but lacking any sort of like ability to see through darkness. You can't really see anything. You can just about make out the shape of the stairs going down.
She steels herself, ready to shoot if need be, and cast light into the hallway.
Okay, as you cast light into the hallway, you see a figure wearing sort of like hooded clothes, sort of ragged and tattered, like a leper might wear, with like a hood pulled over its face. Appears to be like knelt down outside the door, not like trying to pick the lock or anything, but knelt down as though they're putting something on the floor outside Audrun's chamber. As the light like appears, this thing suddenly like looks up, and you see this horribly like twisted and like almost like mutated like face look up at you. It looks vaguely human, but like severely deformed. And this thing sort of looks up and he's like...
Okay, I'm guessing she she gets as much spooked by it as it does by her.
It immediately sort of starts like running, but it's running like it's got like a slightly hunched back, and it's got quite a loping sort of run. It moves quite slowly as though it's painful to move, and it's like running for the stairs, reaches the top and starts shuffling its way down the stairs.
Okay, she calls out, "Oi, stop!" and runs after it.
Okay, at this point, can the rest of you roll me a d6? Let me know if you get a 1.
So I roll out of bed going like, fucking...
And handily for you, Audrun, it's your initiative.
So I think I, like, from like the nightstand or whatever, I take like a candelabra and just go to the door like...
Okay, you pull the door open. You can see that, quite unlike its previous sort of darkness, there is now like this warm light filling the landing. You can see this just from the back. You can't see its face. You can see this hunched figure dressed in rags, like trying to run down the stairs. Sasha's like heading towards the top of the stairs, pistol drawn, like, "Oi, stop!" And there appears to be like a huge, like, well, about that sort of size, like fish lying on the floor outside your room, as though someone had just like dropped a fish outside your door.
Does the fish strike me as being particularly portentous?
No, it just looks like a standard fish that you might get on any docks from any fisherman, and it's just been like laid on the floor outside your door.
Is it a pike?
Indeed it is. It's a Plymouth pike.
That's good eating.
I guess I'm like going after the guy as well.
Okay, so you reach the top of the stairs just behind Sasha. We now move on to the NPC, who shuffles his way down to the bottom of the stairs. You can see he's obviously intending to head to the door, which surprisingly, given people in Plymouth sort of worry about these giant cats that come down from the dirt moor, is open, sort of flapping open in the breeze. You can see the flash of lightning outside and rain pouring down. He appears to be like shuffling towards the door, but he's only got to the bottom of the stairs. So next it's going to be Sasha.
I don't want to shoot him or wake up the entire inn, so she'll just continue running. Can she hear Ogren behind her? Okay, so she'll run up to him. Can she catch him, or if not, then she'll just follow after him as much as she can?
Yeah, you run to the bottom of the stairs. You're literally within like arm's reach of him. You could reach out and touch his shoulder, because obviously you're running at full speed and he's running in this slightly painful sort of limping fashion.
Okay, she'll reach out and grab the raggedy cloak, trying to, hold him.
Okay, at which point I'm going to ask you, can you roll me a d20? You need to get equal to your strength or under.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, you grab hold of this and he's sort of trying to go like that and like throw you off, but you're hanging on to. You can feel that as you're holding on to his robes, despite his deformities, he must be quite strong, like it's like pulling you along with him.
Ogren, quick, come, help. He's trying to do something with your door.
So, as I'm like coming down the hallway and I see this, I'm gonna like start running real hard at the very top of the stairs, and I'm gonna take a like a leap on the stairs, and I'm gonna try and like land on top of this dude.
Okay, so
Both then.
Make me an attack roll, and I'm going to say William and Maddock, can you both roll me a d6? Obviously, Audrun's just like shouted and roared, so if you get a 1 to 4, you're awake. Maddock, you're awake. William, you are also awake. So the two of you are woke up by like just this from outside. Obviously, William, you'll quickly see that Sasha isn't there. Maddock, you wake up to see like Hamish, like, what the fuck's going on?
Now, firstly, the roar, I take it, sounds combative. And
yeah, it sounds like Audrun's like standard battle cry number 2.
Okay.
How it sounds when Sasha disturbs him for the 3rd time in the night.
Yeah.
Audrun, you've not got enough to hit with an attack roll. So although you land at the bottom of the stairs, it's just as this guy like dives forward, pulling Sasha along with him. So you land just behind them. There's a loud, like, boom, as you land on the floor. Okay, we're going to move on to the NPC, who runs to the door. He's literally stood, like, level with the door frame now. Sasha, you're still clinging to the back of him. But before you decide what to do, it's Maddock.
I will jump up, grab my hammer, run outside.
You can hear the sound of like a few other people, like, obviously waking up in rooms because like Audrun's just like.
Now, if I remember correctly, was Audrun's room that he was staying in the room that he had his big tussle in? Because that was where he showed his strength and all that kind of.
Yeah, that was his idea. Like, yeah, I'm gonna sleep in the wrecked room because you guys lost and I didn't. So.
Yeah, and that room went out to the street in front of the pub. Is there a window in the corridor or in one of the room's doors that are open that goes out to the front door that effectively Maddock could slip down and get ahead of the guy?
There is a window, but however it is locked with like a big heavy wooden shutter over it.
Sounds like a lot of faffing around.
I tell you what though. Does it look like a lot of faffing around? You've got architecture skill, haven't you?
I have.
Okay, now this thing may look sturdy as I've described it, but it's sturdy in like human standards compared to like some of the sort of fortifications and locks, etc., that you've dealt with. It's nothing. You're pretty sure that with one like good hearty shove, you could like push that shutter through the window and just like dealt with.
Okay, so having assessed the situation, I will flick the shutter open.
Okay, make me a strength roll then. So it's a D20, you need to get equal to or below your strength.
Yep.
Okay, so you push the shutter, it resists for a few moments, then like you hear the creaking of these like shitty hinges that are on it, and it just like comes out and falls down into the street below. Looking down, you can see the light sort of coming out through the entrance to the Crimson Maiden, and you can just see this ragged figure stood in the doorway. He looks up as he sees the shutter fall down, and you see this twisted, like pallid face.
I'll kind of like pull a kind of like recoiled face to an extent of like, that wasn't what I was expecting. And I will attempt to shimmy up onto the window and throw myself onto this thing from the window.
Okay, that's fine. You won't be able to make an attack roll because you've already sort of smashed your way through the window. However, if you want to take your move action, you could like jump down to the street. It's not very far, so you wouldn't take damage from it.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. I'll fall down in the street and try and just get in the way. So effectively, if he breaks loose from Sasha or whatever, I'll be in arm's length.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. So we move on to William.
Okay, I'm waking up. I'm checking the room to see that Sasha is not there. I'm grabbing my bow and my dagger and run onto the floor. Run out of the hallway.
Okay, as you get out into the hallway, which is now well lit thanks to Sasha, you're just in time to hear the and you see like Maddock on like the window frame, and then he disappears as he jumps down out of the window. You glance around, you can see this deformed figure sort of in the doorway, sort of looking up and out of the doorway, and you see Sasha like clinging to his back, and Audrun's just like rising to his feet, having jumped to the bottom of the stairs.
Just as a rules explanation, if I try to attack with my bow this thing, would Sasha be considered to be in melee with it?
Yes, she would, because she's effectively on its back.
You
could always take an aim action and reduce your chances.
That's what I wanted to say. I try to get into a better position where I can still see it if it runs away a bit more, and then I would try to take an aim action at it.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. You can certainly aim at it.
Yeah, that's my turn.
Okay, no problem. So we next move on to Sasha, clinging to the back of this deformed individual.
Yeah, she's a bit spooked by the sudden dwarf bomb landing next to her.
Well, it's not directly next to you, because obviously you're still inside, like clinging to this guy's back. He's just about to go outside. But you've heard the sound of something crashing to the street and something very heavy landing outside.
She's gonna try to kick his leg his legs away under him. So would that just be a melee?
Yeah, just make a melee attack roll. If you hit, you don't do your damage, but you'll have effectively like, swept
I'm
his
just
legs
gonna
out.
roll for broadsword, but it's the same roll. It's just
Fine.
so I don't want to code it again.
Okay, you as Odrin, as you're rising to your feet, you see Sasha sweep this creature, this deformed person's legs out from underneath him, and he sprawls to the floor, like half of him sort of out the door, with you literally like stood on his back, Sasha. He's pretty much incapacitated now, so we're not in combat rounds anymore, guys. So
she'll call out to Ogren, quick, hold him down.
Yeah, so we are like, is there like a common room downstairs where we are now? Or?
There's the main bar area,
Yeah,
obviously,
yeah.
but there's not like a specific common room. It's just a big bar and loads of like little rooms, effectively.
Right.
And there's,
So-
obviously, there's a storeroom and a cellar at the back because you went through it to go
Yeah.
to the caverns.
So I'll get a chair from the bar and like quickly run to where Sasha has this guy, and then I'll like yell for her to like step aside.
Okay, she'll get out of the way.
Yeah. Then I'll smash the chair on this dude.
Are you trying to like knock him out, or
Uh,
are you trying to kill him?
no. I guess like the closest to his intention would be knocking him out.
Okay, I'm not going to make you make a roll for that because he's pretty much at your mercy.
Yeah.
You bring this chair down on his head, and there's a slightly odd sort of like squelching noise when you do, like someone had like hit a watermelon with a mallet. And he stops like feebly thrashing around. You can see like his chest's still rising and falling, so he's still alive, but he's going to have a nasty bruise on his head. Obviously, Maddock, you've heard this commotion and you've walked around, presumably. You're looking through the door. You can see this guy sort of lying there just as Odrin like brings the chair down on his head. He's like,
Well, at least he got some of the stress out of his system by beating this guy.
So
What the fuck happened? I'm still aiming with my bow at this thing.
I don't know. This thing was putting something near Ogren's door or trying to get in.
it was a fish, and this guy is the last guy that's gonna come to my door tonight, okay? And I'll point at everyone with like the broken leg of the chair. Like,
So you beat him up because he wanted to visit you and give you a present?
Do you think it's an? And she looks up at Will, an offering?
He came to you and gave you a fish, and you beat him up. That's what I heard. Correct?
Well, to be fair, Ogren beat most people up.
I'll just look puzzled and be like, "Yes, true, you do like fish, Odrin."
I like fish too.
Would that be a Dagon thing? To bring fish for pregnant people?
well,
I know you
this-
don't like flowers, but you do like fish.
He didn't bring the fish to me or to Argilia, though. He put the fish on the floor, which is... Dagon
putting
isn't
my
the god of floors, right?
I'm putting my bow away and searching this guy.
okay, as you start searching this guy, William, you can see that the deformities on his body extend far beyond his twisted face. He has like a club foot, a hunchback. One of his left arm appears to be like noticeably bigger than his right arm, which is a little bit withered away and sort of hunched up against his body. As you search him, you find that he has like a couple of copper pieces on him. He also has what appears to be a stylized tattoo of a fish on his left breast. But other than that, he doesn't really have any equipment on him, although he has like quite a sort of rancid smell of fish because he's been carrying this fish in his robes.
Do I recognize the symbol?
It just looks like a sort of crude outline drawing of a fish. It's obviously not been done by any sort of like tattoo artisan. It's been done in like the old school way, you know, with like charcoal and like needles. It's very crude.
I don't mean this directly, but one of your people, like Dagon people.
Well,
My people don't look like that.
Yeah, I know, but his people. I mean, his people in spirit, not in Oh my god.
Maddox, since you're the one nearest to the door, 'cause you're like still stood in the doorway, roll me a d6.
Fuck you outside.
Okay, that's fine.
Wow.
Yay. But I was like, so this guy broke into your room and gave you a fish.
No, he put it outside the door.
As I said, he gave an offering and you beat him up.
Yeah. I think Will is right here, Hogan. So, is that a thing?
Offering to...
Well, don't you people, like, when people are pregnant or they get married or other, normally joyous events, they bring gifts, right?
You don't sacrifice to people. You sacrifice to Dagon.
Yes, but you give gifts, right? Like I gave you those.
While
necklaces and
that
stuff.
conversation's going on, I'll effectively grab the foot of the guy and just start walking back in, like just walk inside and be like, look, if we're gonna have this conversation, I want to have a pint. Come on, let's come inside.
Okay, as you're about to do that, you suddenly hear a hissing noise from behind you, and something leaps onto your back. You feel sharp claws dig into your back, and you take 3 hit points of damage.
What?
Initiative again.
Indeed, I will deal them cards. Well, since we're starting off with Sasha, what you see as Maddox about to sort of like drag this guy in, suddenly something leaps onto his back, and you briefly see what appears to be a hairless, like, paw of some kind with sharp claws rake into his back. And I'm assuming you sort of like pinwheel around Maddox, or you're like trying to get this thing off your back. As you look around, you see there's what appears to be a large, hairless cat with sort of dull green eyes that has like literally leapt onto his back and sank its claws in. As you look past Maddox, who's like sort of trying to get this thing off, you can see 2 more shapes dark against the rain, and occasionally as there's a flash of lightning, you see 2 pairs of eyes regarding you, sort of swaying gently.
Okay, she runs over to Maddox and grabs him with one hand and the cat with another and pulls them both into the inn.
Okay, that's fine. You drag them both into the inn. This thing is intent on clawing Maddox, so it's not going to resist in any way.
I draw my dagger and stab this thing.
Okay, that is absolutely fine. Make your attack roll.
I assume it's attack from behind because it doesn't really notice me. And can I
Yep.
do I get my sneak attack too?
You will.
Okay, so it's +4 to attack, and I do double damage. 14 and 12 damage if I hit.
Okay, that is definitely a hit. Describe the damage that you do to the creature. It's not dead, but it's quite seriously hampered.
I think it's pretty unspectacular, to be honest. I'm just using my newfound dagger, which doesn't make a noise in any way. So I'm just stabbing at a specific position in his back, where one of his vital organs are. Probably I punctured one of his lungs or whatever. And I just stab it in, and a bit of blood pours out of this point.
Indeed, the thing hisses, and it sort of like lashes out with one of its paws towards you, but it's not really like a dedicated attack. It's still clinging to it, so you just like sway back out of the way of it. Okay, we move on to the mighty Odrin.
So I'm gonna try and stake the cat with the table leg.
Okay, make your attack roll.
How do improvised weapons work in this?
The way I'm going to run it to just make a normal attack roll. You do like D4 damage if you hit it.
Okay,
Because it's just like a tiny table leg.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Ooh.
Okay, that hits, and you score a shallow cut across the thing with the jagged edge of the chair leg that you're holding. However, it's still hissing and spitting and thrashing around with its claws. So we move on to the NPCs. Before the the cat gets to do his attack. Obviously, like, other people have started waking up, so like, emerging from their rooms. Now, you see the young man who was behind the bar on the previous day go, "Oh, Lord of mercy!" And he like runs across to the door and quickly like slams the door shut and starts like pulling the bar down on the door, presumably to stop any other of these cats getting in. We now move on to the cat's attack. It's going to attack you with both of its claws, Maddock. Hits 1. Okay, and he hits you with 1. You take 4 hit points of damage as you feel this thing's claws digging deeper into you. However, you now have a chance to retaliate.
Right, as I'm kind of like stumble back into the pub, I'm just kind of like, "Oh, that's right, Kitty, get me while I'm in my pants!" And I'll just bring my hammer over and try and give it a knock on the bonds.
That's fine. Make an attack roll. You will be at a -2 to your attack roll because you're trying to go like that effectively.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, as it's sort of shifting around and digging its claws in, you're unable to gain sufficient momentum to actually do it any serious damage. Let's hope Sasha can perhaps help you out in this situation as we move on to her turn.
Would it be possible to pull it off him?
I would say that you would have to make an attack roll and hit it to like drag it off.
Okay, so we'll try that.
Okay.
Oh.
I will tell you as well before you do this, in case it affects your decision, that it's currently got its claws sank into Maddock. So if you rip it off, it's going to be like and probably like come off with like bits of Maddock on it.
Yeah. Okay. It seems to be the thing to do with a cat on you. Just gonna try to rip it off him.
Okay, you pull it off Maddock, you take another 1 hit point of damage as you feel this tremendous pain as this cat's ripped off. You're literally having to hold it with both your hands, Sasha, and it's snarling and spitting and thrashing around with its claws as you do so.
Okay,
You can
so
see that
if
its
you
teeth
can-
appear to be quite sharp as well. It's like...
If she can, is it like, you know how like you grab a cat in the back of its head
Yeah,
and down by its tail? If she can hold it like that, she'll try to do that.
that's fine. Okay, so we move on to William.
Ollie, my rats is a action for me, correct?
Yep.
Okay. I think I just try to finish off this one cat first. I'm trying to attack it again, the same thing
Yeah, I mean,
this last turn.
Sasha is holding it, so
Go for it.
Yeah.
be able to stab it.
Sure, I'm doing the same thing again. I assume it's still sneak attack and from it's split from behind.
Yeah.
13, and if it's sneak attack, 10 damage.
Okay, describe how you slay this evil cat creature.
I'm just puncturing the other lung, and now it just suffocates.
It lets out a last strangulated, meowling gasp as the air is expelled from its punctured lungs, and then it goes limp in your hands, Sasha.
Okay, she immediately drops it down.
And just don't make a noise with my new dagger. Does blood stay on it or something? I'm just curious.
Yeah, blood appears to stay on it as it would do normally.
Okay.
Okay, you okay, Maddock?
Like, fine.
Obviously, we're not in combat rounds anymore. The barman who sort of like slammed the door looks over at you and he's like, well, "What were you thinking opening the doors? Didn't you know about the Dartmoor cats coming down?"
He didn't believe them.
I just try to bind the wounds of Maddock.
Okay, roll a d4.
Yeah. While you're doing that, I'm
one
like,
hit point back.
hey, one can make all the difference.
Hey, that's an entire level. Well,
That's your new hit point.
That's the whole level's worth of hit points, guys.
That's your new hit point. Healed now.
But while he's binding my wounds, effectively, I'll be like to the guy, I'm like, "Hey, well, those things aren't all that. If I had something more than my kicks, I could take it down. I was in my pants."
The barman who stood over by the door, he says, "Well, we should be all right now. They're scavengers. They're opportunists. They shouldn't try and get in now. We've barred the doors. As long as none of the windows are open or anything."
yeah.
As he says that, I'll be like, "Oh, well, since you mention it." I did open the one up there.
He goes like pale as you
I'm
say
like,
that.
and the actual shutter is in the street.
He's like, oh, saints preserve us. He looks around and then he sort of points at one of the sort of small round wooden tables, and he's like, can you help me get this upstairs? And he points to Odrin and points at the table.
I'm calling my rats. I assume the ones I had last game are still somewhere near.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, I'm calling them.
Not a problem. They start gathering. So,
As I feel slightly responsible, I may be heading up towards the open window.
Just a bit.
okay, so as you start heading up, he's like, oh, all right, grab hold of this table. And he sort of like grabs one end of this wooden table.
Yeah, I'll...
The two of you like lift it upstairs. And, like people have started emerging from their rooms onto this now like well lit landing. A few of them are like, "Fuck's the landing lit?" Thinking like looking around.
I'll pick up my pistol and follow them upstairs.
Okay.
I'm trying to hide the fact that I called a bunch of rats.
To be honest, normally that would be quite difficult. However, given that the fact the only light is upstairs and there's a lot of shadows being cast, and this guy is blatantly like doesn't give a fuck about the rats, he's bothered about the window. That's fine.
I'm telling my rats to be quiet.
Yeah, not a problem.
Okay.
Okay, so so Maddock and this fellow hustle upstairs with this this table. There's a few like people come out. You see like Jenny, the madam, is like, emerging out of her room looking quite sleepy, wearing a nightgown. She's like, oh, what's going on? He's like, one of these fools knocked the shutter out of the window. There's no more cats outside. At which point she again goes a little bit pale, and she shouts to one of the other people who's quiet. She's like, "Quick, get a hammer and some nails." At which point, as you head over to the window, Maddock, and this fellow, he's like, "Quick, get this up against the window." As you sort of peer out the window, you can see two of these cats, and they're like climbing up the side of the building, using their claws to find irregularities in the brickwork and the masonry, and you can see these green eyes reflected in the flash of the lightning.
I'm calling my rats to them. They should just get on them and bite them and distract them so they maybe fall off.
And likewise, is the one particularly higher, or are they both kind of like...
Yeah, there's one ahead of the other. As you're sort of contemplating what you can do with regards to this, there's like a quiet chittering around you, and this small like torrent of rats pours around you, and this unfortunate barman who's like, "Oh, Lord preserve us!" As these rats surge, like literally like pour out of the window. You hear this like as they like cascade almost like water down onto these cats, and they drop off the wall and they start like, thrashing around, like biting and killing these rats and clawing them.
Cheers, William!
At which point a young lad comes up and he's got
No problem.
He's holding like some long nails and a hammer. The barman grabs him and he's like and starts like, hammering this table up over the window as a makeshift shutter.
You owe me 20 rats.
As soon as it's done, the barman like slumps down next to it and he's like, please, Lord, tell me that was the only window that was open.
Odrin, did you shut your window?
Of course not.
I just kind of look at the barman with a kind of a look of a... Yeah, that's a problem as well.
As you say this, you hear like this coming from Odrin's room.
I'll start running that way.
Okay, what's everyone else doing?
I'll go as well.
I have no rats left, correctly?
That's correct. You will be able to like regather them eventually because they won't all been killed by these things.
I don't want to waste all my activations for that. So I'm just running up and drawing my bow again.
Okay, as you all sort of converge on Odrin's room, you hear what sounds like a scuffling sound inside, and then just as you reach the door, everything goes quiet. Maddock, you've made it to the door first. Odrin's like just behind you. The barman's like ran after you as well. He's like holding this like little hammer for all the good that'll do.
Mm-hmm. When I get in there, what do I see?
Okay, you're opening the door and going in?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you open the door and you go in. You see Argelia lying asleep peacefully on the bed. The shutter is open next to her, and lying on the floor next to the bed are two of these cat creatures. They appear to be quite dead.
I'll be like,
How do we
Audrey!
know that they are quite dead?
Well, the fact they're lying there, like,
Not bloodied, not splashed around, or
nope.
Okay, I will golf swing the first one that I come to's head.
Yep, you splatter its head.
I cut the throat of the other one.
Absolutely fine. You cut its throat.
Yeah. I'll be
Obviously-
like, Audrin, your missus is well handy with a whatever she killed these with.
As you look in, Audrey, you can see Argelia is just like lying there asleep peacefully. She was previously.
Praise Dagon, I say as I like grab the legs of these cat bodies and start to. Actually, I'll just lift them out the window.
Could be, maybe there's bounty for them.
Aye.
The barman who stood there with like his little hammer, sort of looking confused at the scene that's meeting his gaze, is like, "Oh yeah, there's a bounty of 5 silver pieces for dermal wildcat scalps."
Only? These things are quite tough.
He says, "Look, I don't make the rules. Look,
Well, it's 15 silver.
There you go, William. The one that came off my back. That'll take me down for the rats.
I cut off their scalps.
absolutely fine." To say sort of like the rigmarole, just add the 15 silver pieces to your thing. You'll find out next day that you can pretty much go up to any of the city guard and be like, "We've got these scalps," and they'll like pay you out the money.
I'm doing it, okay? Or do you want to do it, Dennis?
No, I'll just add it to our
Okay.
total.
Okay.
Okay, so do you guys want to do anything, or are you retiring again for the evening?
I'm
I've been
trying
to sleep for like 2 hours now.
I'm trying to check to know where this guy may have come in. And
Okay,
I'm also trying to bind him up, so if he wakes up, he can't just run away.
you can see, judging from the like large bruise, like contusion on his forehead that Audrin gave him, whilst he's not going to die, it's probably going to be like a good few hours before he wakes up. But you've got time to bind him and whatever. You expect, since when you were at the top of the stairs, you saw like the door was open, that somehow he must have opened the door and come in that way. You're not sure how.
He didn't came from outside.
Yeah, he seemed to have come from outside. Like I say, he seemed to have somehow opened the main entrance to the inn and come in through the front door. You're not sure how, because there was like a big sort of like bar in front of it when you went to sleep.
Yeah, that's pretty weird. Isn't there? Was he wet or anything?
He was, yeah.
Could we follow maybe a trail of water somewhere?
It'd be difficult because obviously it's been like torrentially raining outside. I mean, you
Yeah,
can
but
you can
inside
see
it came from the main.
Oh yeah, you can
door.
see as you look in the side of the inn, the trail of water like, literally heads from the front door up the stairs to the landing along to where Audrin's room is,
Okay.
and then back again basically.
I'm grabbing the fish, by the way. Do you still need that? It's looking at Audrin.
I never needed it. You're welcome to it.
Thank you. I take the fish with me. Yeah, I've just bind this guy and put it in our room. I'm not sure where to put it, this thing.
While you guys are doing this, the Jenny is supervising, like getting the rest of the bar staff to like check all the other shutters and the doors and stuff like that. She wanders over to you and she's like, "Oh, are you all okay?"
Yeah, I'll just be like, effectively have gone behind the bar and got myself a pint and just gingerly pouring it over my back. It's like, hey, fine. Oh.
She sort of wanders over to you and she looks at your wounds. She's like, "Oh, dear." Well, obviously, she's heard the conversation you had with the barber, and she's like, "Whatever possessed you to open the shutters? Surely you must have known about the wildcats. I mean, everyone knows about them. To stay inside and keep their shutters drawn and their doors barred."
Aye, they're not that bad.
"Oh, no, I can see that," she says. She looks at your like lacerated back.
Yeah, I'm like, it's just caught me off with my pants, you see. If I had my gear on, that'd be nothing. We were getting this fella, he snuck in and opened the door.
But how is that possible? The door's always barred. We have at least 2 people check it.
I don't know. Maybe he's got flat fingers or something. Anything weird might be happening with these guys.
She looks over at me. She says, "I think that's one of the derelicts from the shanty towns on the outskirts. Judging by the look of him."
Oh, so there's a whole town of these lot.
Well, it's not really a town per se, but those people who can't afford their rents or who don't make enough money, they're all forced to the outskirts of the city. It's not cheap living in Plymouth, you know, with the taxes and all.
And they all look like this?
Well, not all of them, but some of them do, yeah. I mean, look at this poor wretch here. She gestures at him as he's like bound up on the floor. I mean, what sort of work is a person like that going to find? If you can't work, you can't make money, and if you can't make money, you can't pay your taxes.
Maybe we should just question him tomorrow. Could you start him? Do you have some guy?
Maybe we could offer him a job. He seems quite sneaky.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I mean, with his special skills.
Aye, with his flat hands.
But would you be okay, Jenny, if we kept him tied up in our room?
Yes. I'd advise you. I'd rather you kept the door locked so he can't get out and cause any trouble with the rest of my patrons, though. As she sort of finishes saying that, she moves over to you, Audrey, and she says, "How's Argelia doing?"
She is fine.
Oh, good. If there's anything you need, please let me know. And then she sort of like she had like a hand resting gently on your arm. She like releases your arm, and he says, "Well, yes, I'm happy for you to keep this derelict in your rooms, but as I say, please lock your doors so that he doesn't cause any problems with the rest of my patrons." Well, if that's all, and she looks over at a couple of the people who've been checking the shutters. Is everything okay? And they're like, "Yes, Jenny. Yes, Jenny." Well, then I think I'm going to retire for the evening. There's quite enough excitement for one night for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sasha will retire in her room with the hostage.
Yeah, I'll kind of get a towel from behind the bar and like flop it flat onto my back.
Okay.
And then go to bed and like sleep on it.
Okay, so we're going to shortcut to the next morning. Okay, so next morning, the rain has passed. There is sunshine in the sky, blue clouds. Everything looks quite nice. There's sunlight filtering through the chinks in the shutters and through the makeshift barricade that's been nailed over the shutters. Whose room was your captive, Captain?
In ours.
Okay, so as you wake up in the morning, well, do you wake up? Did you watch him all evening, or?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, you'll have seen that just as it starts getting light outside, he wakes up, but he's not saying anything. He's like just sort of looking around the room. Like
Yeah, I'm waiting until everyone else is up. I don't want to question him alone.
Okay, so we'll assume for convenience's sake that you all wake up. Are you all planning on convening in Sasha and William's room to interrogate this poor unfortunate?
I would just suggest so.
Okay, so we'll cut forward to you all gathering in Sasha and William's room. This twisted mess of a human being is now conscious, and like I say, he's tied securely to the chair, and he's like,
I'm looking around. Who wants to have the honor?
So what's with the fish?
"It was an offering."
So how did you hear about that you need to make an offering?
We've seen all the signs.
So that's more of your...
Oh, yes.
And you've seen the sign of...
We see the sign that below all of the waters of the left us.
Is there any reason we are interested in what he says?
I thought it was your jam. I mean, hail Dagon, and everything is Dagon's will, and the whole... unfettered will of Dagon.
You knocked him out. I just wanted to know what his deal is, and maybe how he got in there. Oh, by the way, how did you go to the closed door?
I lifted the bar and came in.
How?
I reached through the crack in the door and lifted the bar.
I honestly didn't understand myself.
The crack in the door.
He said a crack in the door.
Yes, the crack.
Yeah, the crack.
Yeah, I'll just poke him. I'm like, why did you come in the middle of the night, you tool?
Well, they don't let people like me, the establishments like this.
Don't you get attacked by the cats?
No, they don't bother.
They what?
They don't bother us.
Why do they not bother you?
I don't know.
Isn't it obvious?
Well, yeah, I suppose.
So the question is, Ogren, do you wanna do more with this situation or not?
You, and I point at the dude.
Yes.
You said there's more of you.
Oh, yes.
Where?
On the outskirts of the city.
You say you follow the Lord of Waters.
Oh, yes.
And he is where? On the floor now? Or
He's like tied to a chair.
Ah, cool.
You can see that, like, as he's tied to the chair, like Hamo's like stood like directly behind the chair with like a sword out in case he tries anything.
Yeah. So I'll motion to Hamo, like, please undo the knot there.
She sort of like looks at you curiously, and then she glances over at William. Then she gives a with a sword and like slices ropes through. This
No, that's my fucking rope. You don't cut it.
she stops short and she's like, all right. You're the one who's paying me.
You
And then
undo the tie. You don't cut my rope.
all right. I thought it was just rope. I'll untie it. You're the one who's paying my wage. And she like unties it. At which point this like creature, so like it can relax his arms a bit, and he's like, "Oh, thank you."
Now,
And he sort of jumps down from the chair, but he's just like stood there. Like,
Do you have companions who can speak better than you?
what's wrong with the way I speak?
You spit too much.
I don't understand this creature. What did he say?
He said, what's wrong with the way I speak?
Oh, okay.
Am I his translator now?
It's out of character. I seriously don't understand. John, what do you-
I just love the face.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not a foreign speaker. I can't understand.
It's all good, man. Don't worry about it. I'll revert to my normal voice, but basically when I'm speaking as him, assume he's speaking in that sort of style.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problems.
Oh.
I'll throw in the odd occasional like, ugh, but I'll speak normally.
Maybe it doesn't get old after a while, but I will need translation because I seriously can't understand it.
No problems. I'll sort of speak in my normal voice for the majority of it.
Thank you.
Absolutely
The
fine.
question remains if you want to do anything about it, Ogren, because it's kind of like you're...
Hey! He's a devote.
so
Did he
I'll,
give him the job?
I'll hold up my hand like this to like towards the guy.
He goes, "Ah," as though he's expecting you to like hit him.
Yeah, with a backhand.
Yeah, pretty much. He's like, "Ah," and like shies away a little bit.
Say, grasp my hand and pull it down as much as you can.
Okay, he reaches out with like his sort of like large, almost like he's got like giganticism in like one of his hands. He like reaches out and like grabs your arm and he starts. And yet he pulls your arm down. He's got quite a lot of strength in his left arm, although like his right one's like withered and tiny and sort of close to his chest.
Yeah. And I give him a nod of appreciation, and I hold up my left hand. I go, now let's do the same.
He again reaches over with like his massive hand and just like pulls your
Yeah,
arm down.
I'll just like slap him on the hand, like now the other one.
He sort of like reaches out. It's almost like curled up like a claw, But as he like unfurls it and retakes, you see like his arms like really long, but it's like skeletally thin, and he sort of like takes hold of your arm and he goes, and you feel there's almost like no strength behind his like hand.
Yeah. Do his hands have any like other mutations? Are there like scales on the skin?
No.
Or yeah. Okay. So he's not really like exhibiting like Dagonite mutations that much.
Not as far as you can see at present.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, he's doing that. Sasha will check behind his ears for guilt.
Okay, you check behind his ears, and he does have like slits on his neck, although they're hidden by the sort of like greasy, lank, stringy bits of his hair.
See, that's too open. Well, he is marked.
He is marked, yet, unfortunately, the Lord of Waters does not tolerate weakness, my friend.
Well, maybe that's more than. I mean, he's obviously strong of will.
He says in his raspy voice, he says, "Oh, but we'll all be made strong when the Saviour is born." Although, obviously with him speaking, it's like, "When the Saviour is born."
Aye, when the Saviour's born.
Not warm, born! Born!
We need this guy to travel with us.
Yeah. Oh, born.
I'm about ready to murder this dude, so if you
No
want.
objections from me.
Well, he's not really in any sort of situation to be able to do much about it.
Yeah.
Maybe, Ogren, there's more than one type of strength, right?
He looks at you with the most confusion that he has ever had on his often confused face.
He's like, she means like, I'm a rubbish swimmer, but that doesn't mean I'm shit at jogging.
Right. Okay, he...
This poor deformed person looks
Yeah.
entirely bewildered as you're having this conversation.
So, was it the right arm? He had the giant arm?
It's his left arm that's his giant arm.
Okay, so we'll lift up the left arm of his then.
What he do?
He has, 4 times the normal strength of a man in this?
Yes.
And the strength of a baby in this?
Yes.
So if you subtract this from this, doesn't that still make him twice as strong as a man?
A man has 2 arms.
I'll be like, don't do math. I can see his face. No, Odrin, what he's saying is like, cause he's super strong on that side and crap on this side, it evens out.
It doesn't though. Like
In the distance, you can hear the morning church bells tolling as this bewildering conversation unfolds.
as Odrin is like contemplating purging this dude because he is deformed.
Okay, so here's the thing. We now learn this. He is one of the followers of Dagon, and
Yes.
clearly, as he tries to use her charisma now, he is as Dagon willed him to be. So is it really up to you to determine if Dagon is mistaken?
Every bone crushed under my fist is the will of Dagon. And I like reach towards this dude. I presume like he recoils a bit.
Yeah, most definitely. As you're like, I crush bones in my fist. Yeah, you best believe he recoils.
Yeah. And I say to Sasha, just everything that I do is the will of Dagon.
So you are basically Dagon, you say.
No. Everything
can't-
I do is the will of Dagon.
Why? So you can't be wrong.
He tries to cut will.
It's not about me, you see.
So
Okay, so-
Dagon makes everything right you do?
Yeah, and like he's losing the plot. Like he doesn't.
Wait, so Odrin, have you ever been badly wounded?
Several times.
Were you not feeling weak then?
The power of Dagon sustains me.
Ah, that's not what I said. None of your whiz-wazzery. I said, were you feeling weaker then?
The man who the deformed man whose arm you're still like holding, Sasha, is like, what's the whiff waffle?
I'll just kick him in the face and be like, shut up, I'll save your life.
Okay, Ogren,
Yes.
can we just say that you will not crush him, and we will go about that then? I'm sure your wife needs some attention, and you did need to go get herbs, right? And we will take this fellow home.
Well, that is true. That is true. I do need to get herbs. And like he fishes out like a list, probably written by Argelia. Because he can't.
I totally lost interest in this conversation and bite in the raw fish.
Yeah, Maddock as well is just kind of like, looks like he's just paying attention to it all, and then suddenly just kind of like goes like, "Did you say wife?"
Not in the sense that if you asked a man on the street here, no, but in the sense that we are bound together by the. It is complex olden whale custom.
He tried to explain it to me yesterday. I just still don't get it. He doesn't want to pay her for some reason. I'm not sure.
To pay her? You guys are strange. I mean, are you married? Did you get married?
Well, I suppose yes.
He is married in the eyes of his people's culture, okay?
Right. So
not in human culture eyes.
Right. When all this stuff is settled, Aldrin, I need to take you on a last night of freedom, but for what happened, we're going drinking.
And like you can tell that what he picks up is we're going drinking.
Yeah, that's fine.
Very well. That is kind of you.
As you're having this conversation, you can hear the sound of people coming into the tavern down below. People sort of like talking. A general hubbub of conversation is striking up, which is a little bit unusual given that it's like really early in the daytime. But quickly, this like hubbub gets like louder and louder, as though the place must be like getting fairly packed downstairs.
It's like, oh shit, people have come for the tree.
So you wanted to buy something? I wanted to check something too. Maybe you should just split up.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
Let this guy go. I'm not sure what to do with him. He didn't do anything to me, so.
Yeah, you do that, and I'll wrap up here.
No, I'll just be like, hey, Lumpy, do you want to earn a silver piece?
He asks you what for.
I should be like, carry my armor and stuff. I want to find a blacksmith.
In fact, yes, okay. If you wouldn't be ashamed to be seen with someone like me.
I'm looking at Maddock just as a service to you. I pay him. You give me a silver. I pay him and tell him he will be loyal to you, so he doesn't run away with your armor. Okay? Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm giving the coin and saying you're working for me now. You will be loyal to this guy until this service is over. Correct?
He takes the coin off you and nods, and as you sort of give him the coin, you feel the faint sort of hum of your demonic energies like cementing that pact.
Yeah. Maybe his eyes get black for just a second.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
I just look thoroughly confused, but the standard kind of like, oh, I don't know what's going on, but something bad's just happened.
He won't steal your stuff now, okay?
He's right, I won't.
See?
Okay. Carry that, come with me. And I'll just kind of like waddle off.
He sort
Just
of
do
like hefts your
whatever he
armour.
says.
He hefts your armour onto like his hunchback, and he's sort of shuffling after you.
Okay.
But a new retainer now, I guess. A pretty cheap one at that. Yeah, I'm. Who wants to start?
Yeah, who wants to go first? Aldrin, I believe you had some herb you wanted to buy.
Oh yeah, I have a whole list here, and if possible, I would like to deal with the more disreputable folks.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. So to locate a person who, shall we say, is a bit more on the dodgy side, you will need to make a charisma check. If you have any dots in sleight in hand, they can be added to your charisma for the purposes of this roll.
You could theoretically use your blessing just as a
That's quite true.
reminder.
Nah. Charisma. Okay. Well, I have like the standard one in sleight of hand. Is that?
Yeah, so add 1 to your charisma, and that's the number you need to roll equal to or below on a d20.
Okay, let's see.
Let me know if you do it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I did roll a 5.
Okay, so it's probably going to take you like a couple of hours because you have to ask around and you have to explore the streets, etc. But eventually you're pointed in the direction of what appears to be a fairly youngish looking man. He's got like long curled golden hair and green eyes. He's about 6 foot tall, fairly attractive. One thing you do notice as you walk over to him, as he's sort of like he's moving through the streets, you notice he's missing 3 fingers on one of his hands, and he's wearing what appears to be like piecemeal armor. He's walking around chatting to like some of the more reputable traders, and a few people have sort of said, "Oh, go and speak to Terwin in the marketplace. He'll sort you out."
So I'll stride over, and I'll put a hand on his shoulder, probably from behind, to maximize the good impression.
Okay, you put your hand on his shoulders, and you see his hand sort of like very quickly like shoots towards his hip, and you can see as his sort of like his shirt falls back that he's got like a short sword in a scabbard there, but he's not drawn his sword, he's just put it on the handle, ready to draw it if he needs to.
Yeah, and I say, "Peace, friend. I come to buy herbal supplies."
He looks around and he says, "All right then, over here," and he gestures to an alleyway, and he says, "What sort of thing are you after?"
I give him the list written by Argelia, if she can write. Sure can.
She can.
Yeah.
He takes it off you and he says, "Yeah, well, I can get it, but if you want quality, it's not going to be cheap."
Well, when you say quality, if we're going with cheap, what does that mean?
Okay, just to break into rules speak here, effectively, you can choose to get. Obviously, you know the sort of cost prices of your stuff. You can choose to get either a 10, a 20, or a 30% discount on the stuff that's being offered to you. The sort of like the more of a discount you take, the more chance there is something wrong with the item. So it's down to you how much discount you want to take.
Yeah, I'll take the full amount, as much as I can.
Okay, so that's fine. So you get 30% off your total cost, so deduct that amount of money. And you need to roll me a d6. There is a 1 to 3 chance that there is something wrong with the items you purchase.
4.
Okay, the items you purchase are as advertised.
Cool. Also, sorry, actually, we talked about this last time. Well, actually, during downtime. So, green caps, they're not like generally available.
No.
Does this guy have them?
He's like, well, I could probably get my hands on one, but I'd have to call in a few favours to do it. I mean, it's going to cost you more than you've just paid me, and obviously he's like pocketed the money for the stuff he's already given you.
And like what's happening is like Odrin hands over a sizable bag of silver to him, like in excess of 200 pieces. Yeah, I suppose we'll have to wait with the green caps.
He says, well, money's not going to do, but I do have a particular fondness for items of worth that can be moved easily, if you understand what I'm saying. You know, small items, jewellery, stuff like that. Stuff that I can move around easier than this. And he like chinks the bag of coins you've just given him. Yes, unfortunately, I
I don't have such items.
He says, well, tell you what, if you do manage to find something you think I might be interested in, I'm normally to be found lurking around the marketplace and doing a bit of business here and there. If you do find something, come along and find. But well, green caps, as I'm sure you know, being a bit of a connoisseur yourself, they're a rare item. I can't guarantee how long I'm going to hold on to it. Someone comes along in the meantime and makes me a better offer, it's gone. Mm-hmm. So if you want to get buying, you want to get buying quickly.
Yeah. I thank you, friend. And I gather up the sizable stack of herbs that I just bought.
He actually hands it to you, and it's almost like a brick of herbs that have been compressed, almost like dried, put between the pages of a book like a flower, and they're sort of wrapped up in a paper parcel that he hands over to you. It's easier to move around like that, you see. Just put them in a bit of water, that'll refresh them up. You'll be fine.
All right. I think that's Audrun done with the shopping, because I got my metal bits and I got my herbs, and I didn't get my mushrooms, but we'll work on that later.
Okay. So, is there anyone else who wants to go out and do a bit of shopping, a bit of buying, etc.?
I would want to try to get a bit of identifying.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. So again, make me a charisma roll. It's not modified by your sleight of hand, because unless you're trying to use the black market, I presume you're not.
No, I'm not.
Okay, so it's just a straight up charisma roll.
Okay. That is a 1.
Okay, that is fine and dandy. So what sort of establishment are you looking for?
I think the most obvious thing would be some kind of historian who knows a bit about things from the past, from especially elven things. That would be my first thing, because I want to identify my armor and the pendant that I got. And the other thing would be maybe something like a magician or a temple to identify the dagger.
Okay, and how do you plan? Are you asking around? Are you just chatting to people? How do you plan on locating such a person?
I think finding the historian should be just asking around for someone who knows about history and maybe offers his services as a scribe or as a librarian or something like that.
Okay, you don't find a librarian as such. However, you are told, after speaking around to people, that there is a man by the name of Fabian de Grey who has a small sort of curio shop where he sells sort of old antiques and stuff like that.
It's worth a shot. I'm going to him.
Okay, you head across the city, and eventually you find this sort of small, out of the way, just on the border of the shanty towns, this small ramshackle old shop, effectively. There's numerous odd items, bundles of herbs, old pots, urns, etc. outside the top of it, sort of around the top of the roof, etc.
Just out of curiosity, do I see something that has demonic writings on it?
You don't know.
Okay. Then I'm going in and looking around for someone I can talk to.
Okay, you walk in, and after a few moments, a young man with a bald head and quite some dark skin emerges from a back room, and he says, a customer. How can I be of service to you, my friend, on this most glorious of days?
I'm actually looking for someone who knows a bit about history and maybe of assistance to identify some items I acquired.
Well then, my friend, you have certainly come to the right place. For I have travelled long and far across these lands, collecting items during my travel, and he gestures at the tat that's all around the shop.
What do you want for your services?
He says, well, that would depend entirely on the services and the provenance of the item in question. I mean, after all, if you're asking me to identify something that's fairly common knowledge, well, I wouldn't charge you more than 10 silver pieces.
Okay, let's start with that then. I'm pulling out my silver elven necklace with the acorn on it, and show it to him.
Okay, you showed that to him. He holds out his hand.
I'm giving it 10 silver.
He takes the 10 silver. He peers at the acorn and he says, "Well, it looks like some sort of ancient pagan fertility symbol. If I don't miss my guess." And he's like turning it around and peering at, and he says, "Yeah, so probably used for ceremonial purposes and in an old pagan rite before the church came in and dealt with all that. Although there are still some isolated tribes, the Odenwald, etc., that still follow the older ways. It's largely been stamped out in the Havenlands by the church, of course."
He didn't mention elves correctly, so I'm not sure how much I trust this guy. Because I surely got it from elves, so as far as I can remember, at least. I think it was on the same statue that had the armor on it. Okay. I'm okay. He doesn't look too satisfied with this answer. And he will pull out his dagger and lay it on the counter.
He again holds his hand up.
I'm giving it 10 silver again.
He takes it and he peers at it and he says, "Oh, bless my soul, I've not seen one of these for quite some time. Yes, it's an air dagger made of Midian, if I don't miss my guess." And he sort of like he reaches out towards it and says, "May I?"
I'm not.
He takes up and he just like taps it on the desk, and obviously it makes no sound, and he says, "Oh yes, that quite confirms it. It's an air dagger. You see here from these two hooks that are the ears of the dagger. It was one of the favoured weapons of assassins back in the day. They're quite rare since Midian is quite a difficult alloy to work in. The ingredients that go into forging it are quite rare, and if someone does manage to get hold of some gloomium and alloy it safely, then they normally use it for mightier weapons. And normally these were produced by apprentices who were first learning to work the alloy. There's something peculiar in the makeup of the alloy that creates, and he taps it again soundlessly, that gives it this soundlessness to it.
What properties does this Midian metal has exactly?
He says, well, it doesn't really have too many properties beyond not making a sound. The main benefit of it, of course, is, well, I'm not sure how much you know about gloomium, but it's a terribly unstable and dangerous thing. But alloying it into Midian, as this has been done here, and it looks like quite good workmanship. Alloying it into this form makes it relatively safe to handle. And like I say, depending on how it's alloyed and how it's forged, it can have curious properties. Although with the grade of Midian we've got here, and again he's like tapping it with his fingers, I would say that there's probably little other properties to it other than the soundless nature that is inherent in all Midian. I'd be if you don't mind me asking, where did you get it from?
That would be 10 silver for that information then.
I'm not that concerned about where you got it from, but it's quite unusual to see. There's not many of these things made. After all, if you can afford the expense of sourcing gloomium, and you can afford a blacksmith who has the specialist skills necessary to work it, then normally you would not stop at creating a small dagger like this. I mean, some of the mightiest blades in history are known to have been made from Midian. Well, why would someone make a simple dagger out of it? It's part of the reason they're so prized by assassins, thieves, and the like, because they're so hard to get hold of.
What do you think this one would be worth?
He says, well, it's not the finest of items I've seen, and he says, let's say I'd place a conservative estimate. I think you're talking in the region of somewhere of 14 to 15,000 silver pieces.
Oh. Interesting.
Of course, if you want to sell it, I would be able to put you in touch with people who would possibly, perchance, be able to get you more than that. After all, this is, despite the fact that it's not of the finest quality, it is. These daggers are something of a collector's item.
Well, I think this would be worth considering. Do you charge anything for this service?
Well, let's just say that I take a commission of no more than 10%. But I do have the avenues necessary to get you considerably more than the 14,000 that you'd be looking for if you just sold it on the open market. Now,
I'm actually still looking for an accountant in the city, and maybe I will just go and talk with him over that before.
Oh well, of course. Well, I'm always here. You're always welcome to come out. But one thing I will say, and he sort of leans in closer and lowers his voice. As I say, this sort of dagger is highly prized by a certain sort of person. Now, if you're willing to deal with that sort of person, again, I do have contacts I could put you in touch with, although I don't get in touch with them lightly. If you're willing to deal with that certain person, you may be able to barter considerably more profit for yourself, but there is a certain inherent danger in dealing with this sort of people.
I heard this sometimes before in the city. I'm not sure
As he's
I'm willing
saying this,
to take it.
He reaches under his desk and he takes out a long sort of clay pipe, pushes some tobacco in it and has a puff off it, and then he leans forward quite concerned with the fact that you look like a young lad, and he offers the pipe to you.
I refuse. I only have this one body. I'm sorry.
He sort of raises an eyebrow quizzically, but takes the pipe back.
Okay, I've got one last item for you to identify. And I'm just pulling over my shirt, which I put over my armor, and I'm showing him the runes on my armor, and...
You see his eyes widen as he sees your armor. He peers at it and he says, he sort of moves his hands as though he's going to start going over it and examining it. And he stops and says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I quite forgot myself. Do you mind?"
Knock yourself out, but I can't take it off. So you have to look at it while I'm wearing it.
Oh no, that's fine. That's fine. He starts moving around, just touching the panels of this armor and running his fingers on the inscriptions and stuff like that. And he says, I've not seen an elvish artifact for many years. Incredibly rare. And he's moving around it, looking at it, and he's like, yes, these inscriptions on it, although I can't read all of it, this is a personalised item made for a specific person. I can almost feel the enchantments worked into it, and he's moving around, touching this armour as he's talking.
You can't read Elven.
Well, I can read bits of it, but I'm self-taught, and I see Elven artifacts so rarely. I did hear a while ago that there was an elf had shown up in Porthcrawl, and I was hoping to pay a visit there and see if I could learn some more from him. But I'm told by my people in the area that he apparently disappeared. So,
yes, he did. He's an old friend of me.
Oh, and it was he who gave you this armor. Oh,
no, we got it out of a crypt, an ancient elven crypt.
He sort of leans closer, his eyes fairly bulging out of his head. He's like, an elven crypt, you say?
One temple. I'm not sure about the details anymore. I had to look it up.
He literally looks as though he's about to mess himself with excitement when you say it's like an elven temple. And he's like, and you know where this place is?
Yes.
Oh, by the stars, it could be a veritable treasure trove of items like this. From what I know from ancient legends, the elves, the wealth that they used to house in their temples is almost unimaginable to us nowadays.
Well, I know where it is. You don't.
But if there's any possibility of you recovering other items like this, I would certainly be able to get you a decent price.
The necklace again. This is also from this crypt, from this temple.
He says, really? I mean, it doesn't have the same marks of elven craftsmanship as your armour. I mean, that, if you forgive me for saying so, your armour is unmistakably of elven manufacture, whereas perhaps it is because it's a small piece, I don't know, but it doesn't have such fine craftsmanship on it. Perhaps I'm betraying my ignorance. I wouldn't have guessed that was of elvish manufacture.
I'm not sure it is. It was on the same stand as the armor, though. Maybe someone came in and put it together for some reason. I'm no historian. That's why I'm here.
Oh, quite. And, well, if you should think of selling your armor, if you can find a way to,
I can't
part
take it
with
off.
it. Well, if you do find a way, or you're able to gain some other elven items from this, and he takes it like a hanky and like mops his brow from this elven temple, then please do not hesitate to call on me. I could certainly get you a good price for them. I mean, there are collectors and people of means who will pay no end of money to have such a rare and treasured item in their collections.
Now that you remind me, could I pay you not to tell anyone that I told you?
He looks a little bit. He looks a bit offended when you say that, and he's like, "Well, young master, I pride myself on my discretion. You need have no fear. Anything you mention in here. After all, given what you've shown me, I want to have you as a repeat customer. I'd be doing myself a disservice if I were to spread this news around. I would ask.
I mean, you could try to obtain it illegally.
I would ask you for no money for my silence. All I ask is that if you do decide to sell any of these items, perhaps you think of me first when it comes to.
I would consider it.
Well then, your secret is safe with me, young master.
Could you try to obtain more information about this armor? Maybe you could write down the runes and look it up or whatever. I'm not sure how you guys do these things.
Yes, I can certainly look into it. And he rustles behind his desk and he takes out what appears like a ledger, effectively. And he rips some sheets of paper off it. You see him dip a quill into an ink pot, and he starts like copying down like the runes off your armor on these like torn pages.
I think I will pay you a visit before I leave this town again, and maybe if you find something out until then, you will get some more coin.
Probably, yeah. So even if it weren't, I'll quite happily accept the coin for it. But even if it weren't, I would quite happily look into this matter. After all, it's such an interesting field of subject, and although we know that the elves were once far more numerous, we know so little about them.
Well, thank you for your services. It was quite helpful.
Oh, not at all. It's been my pleasure. It's so rare I get to see items of this provenance.
By the way, I'm from the Locke Adventuring Company. My name is William of Riverhead.
Oh, and I am Fabian de Grey, the proprietor. It's a pleasure to meet you, and he shakes hands with you.
Yep. Okay. I will leave again after that.
Okay.
Next.
Is anyone else doing anything else?
Indeed, I will go and take my new retainer for a walk to the market. But before I head off, I would like to go down and get one of the Dirtmoor cats and effectively cut off like that section of the one of the front paws.
That's absolutely fine.
And effectively, I'll be just carrying that around and gesticulating with it as I'm walking around.
Maybe you are the guy who sells the scalps.
No, yeah, they're yours. Obviously, I cost you a lot of rats.
We sold it and put it in the company chest.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay.
Maybe you're the guy who did it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so you sell these scalps. You're getting a lot of strange looks from people as you're like walking through the streets with like this deformed like person like following after you with like this armor. Like people are like crossing the street to avoid you.
Yeah. In fairness, that is of no odds to me. I'll probably make a small talk about the day-to-day life of this poor unfortunate, and then effectively find out a bit more about him.
Okay, make me a charisma roll. So you need to roll a d20 and it's equal to or below your charisma. Let me know if you succeed.
No. Very over.
He's quite willing to talk, but most of what he's talking is about this prophesied, like, chosen one who's going to be born, and how it's going to, like, make them all as beautiful as the Lord of the Seas, and it's going to, like, lead them all to their rightful place. He gets quite passionate about it. You're covered in spit by the time he's finished talking about it. But the only thing you're really able to get out of him about himself is that, as he said before, he lives on, like, the shanty towns. He wasn't able to work because of how he was born. He says that he once had some relatives who came from the sea, although he doesn't elaborate on that. And he says there's, like, a lot of, like, his kind in the shanty towns because they can't really get work anywhere. They can't pay their taxes, etc. No one wants to, like, look at them. Whereas if they're in the shanty towns, people can just ignore them. He says occasionally that they get some menial, like, labour work, like hauling ore from the pewter mines to, like, the north of the town, but that's, like, it really. They're pretty much scavengers from what you can gather.
Fair enough. I'll head to a blacksmith. I take it there are a few.
Yeah, there's quite a few blacksmiths. They're not difficult to find. You walk into a blacksmith, and there's a burly-looking man stood in there. He looks over it. You see he's covered in, like, grime. He's wearing, like, a dusty apron. He's got, like, a slightly singed beard, about yay length, dark brown. He looks over at you, so, like, he's just taken off a set of, like, thick gloves as you walk in, and he's like, "What can I do for you, then, fella?" And he, like, chucks his gloves down, and then he sees, like, this deformed man behind you, and he's like, "Look, we don't serve this sort in here."
Hey, he's carrying it for me. Think of him as a...
He's like, look, I'm an honest blacksmith. I got my reputation to think of.
What are you talking about?
He's like, well, I don't want people to be seen that I'm associated with that sort.
All right, bollocks to you. I'll just walk out and go to the next blacksmith.
Okay. You go to the next blacksmith, and pretty much, like, the same process is repeated. Every time you try and, like, go in a polite establishment with, like, this deformed guy, they're all like, "Oh, no."
Is there a less standard blacksmiths? Like, I take it these are, like, the cookie cutter blacksmiths. Is there, like, one that doesn't necessarily fit the same mould?
Well, you could potentially attempt to find, like, a sort of black market armour dealer, or someone who's a little bit less kosher, if you wish.
Not necessarily what I'm meaning by more of a different look, effectively, rather than, like, the standard storefront or standard person. You
want to go to Shantytown and find a mutated blacksmith.
I didn't say I want, like, a mutated blacksmith.
Okay, you spend a couple of hours searching around, but again, like, every sort of establishment you walk into, they're like, "Nope."
I'm just like, they really don't like you.
He's like, I told you.
I really want to get this sorted. So, why do you guys steal from them? Do you...
No, it's because of what we look like. You must have heard the priests in church. He said, "You must have heard the priests in church. They say that outer deformity is a sign of inner wickedness, and obviously, looking at us, the people think we must be wicked or we've been cursed by God, and therefore they want nothing to do with us unless our wickedness somehow infect them, and make them like us."
As he regales that, I just kind of cast a thought to the group I'm travelling with. Just kind of like, the deformity brings out the outward wickedness. All right then. So it's the church to blame. No.
Yes, but then I'll be washed away when the chosen one is born.
Oh, aye. You've said many times the great dank water lord will come and make everyone strong or whatever.
That's right.
If I leave you outside, you're gonna get like killed or beaten to death.
Well, maybe they don't like my thought coming into the main town. Sometimes they beat us with sticks.
You're killing me, John.
And sometimes they beat them with chairs.
Sometimes they throw stones at us.
I'll just kind of get my cloak and just be like, just wait here, and I'll just kind of like put my cloak over him and just leave him outside a different blacksmith and just be like, just stay there. Don't. If anyone says anything, don't even speak. Just point in the door.
It's like, what, like this? And he brings up his like monstrously deformed hand.
I'm like, no, the other one.
He reaches out with like his little withered like hand. And he's like this.
That's the probably best of the pair, yes.
Okay. Yeah, and you put this cloak over him. Okay, so you head off to a blacksmith. There's a fairly sort of like burly looking woman in there who's the smith. She's got like a hair cut short, like tied back in like a little top knot. As you walk in, you can see she's like working some bellows. She looks up, there's like sparks coming out of the furnace. She doesn't seem bothered by them in the least. And she's like, "How we are, mate?"
Yeah, I got a little job for you if you don't mind. I'm assuming you don't mind serving a dwarf.
As long as your coin's good, I'm not bothered.
How do you feel about those people in the shanty town, out of curiosity?
Says, "Oh no, we don't serve any of those." Like, why, have you seen any of them lurking around?
No, I've just heard a lot about them recently.
She sort of like picks up like a big thick like leather belt from the sort of thing, and she like loops it into like a big loop, and she like, "Because if there are, I'll go out and give them a damn good thrashing and get rid of them."
Go,
She sort of waves his belt about.
Big problem. I like these Dirtmoor cats, and I'll kind of like waggle the paw.
that seems to like endear you to her oddly enough, and she's like, "Yeah, they are a bit of a problem. Bloody things always coming down, especially when there's a mist in the air."
Aye, one of them got me while I was in my pants yesterday, and I just kind of like pull the back of my shirt up and show like my clawed up back.
She lets out a low whistle, and then she's like, "Well, you want to think yourself lucky you got away with it. If you only saw one of them, normally they travel in packs. That's why they're so dangerous."
Aye, there were 3.
Well, you've had a lucky escape then, mate.
No, they're all dead. Good. But I've got this, and I'll hold up like my shonky plate mail that has been purchased from the group.
She looks at it and she's like, "Oh, where'd you get that knackered old bag of shite from?"
I'm like, hey, this was top of the range to someone one day.
Maybe 50 years ago.
Hey, well, yeah, dwarf's got to make do. You know, it's better to reuse the old rather than make a new.
Well, yeah, maybe if you look after it.
Aye, well, I'm going to look after it from now on. I've only just purchased it. I'm wondering
how much did you buy it for?
How much would you say it was worth?
Oh, I won't give you more than a couple of $100 for it.
I'll mutter under my breath. Sorry, William. Oh, right, yeah. I said only a couple of $100.
She sort of gestures like a small stool, and she's like, when you ever sit down, you can tell me all about it. And she like disappears off for a few moments. She comes back in with 2 like pewter tankards, like puts them down on a third stool between you, sits down herself, takes out like a small like bottle of beer and like half fills the 2 tankards, and she like chinks it with yours and has like a big like guzzle of it. And she's like, "So, why don't you tell me, where'd you get it from? You do find it in a ditch? What?"
Yeah, I'll kind of like look at the beer longingly, and then just kind of like cursively glance and remember what I've got waiting outside under a cloak. And I'm like,
"Speaking of which, can you roll me a d6?
Oh, he's already done something.
Okay, that's fine, thank you.
Oh, he's already dead. Okay, I'll just kind of like look at the door, but the call is too strong, and I'll just start drinking, and then I'll start regaling to her, like, where, because I heard it came from the tomb of someone.
I bought it from a little boy.
Yeah, I bought it from a little boy who found it in a tomb.
She's like, wow, that's a new one on me. I've got to admit. And she has another like, swig of her.
She goes, it's been all really weird. Have you seen the Devil's Maw at the top?
Says, wow, I heard a lot of fuss from the church folk about it, but well, I ain't aiming to go like poking around in none of that devilish hoo-ha.
Aye, well, while I was coming across the dirt moor, I saw it go off. Hell of a thing.
All right.
But you reckon you could make that into something worth wearing?
She raises an eyebrow and then she says, well, I could probably shore it up and, well, that plate there would have to be recast and, well, some of this like leather thonging's barely holding together. I mean, I could do it, but, I mean, it wouldn't be cheap. You sure you don't want to, like, go out and buy yourself a new set?
Well, it'll still be cheaper to redo that, surely.
Well, yeah, but it's not going to last as long as a new set.
Aye, but it's got character.
Fucking hell.
A lot of character, right?
Looks like it's been off-beaten to death with character.
Aye, well, if it's got to be worn by me, it's not going to have any better times.
Says, look, I can probably sort it out for you for 200.
Aye, that sounds good. I like, yeah. You've offered me a beer within 2 minutes of meeting me. That's always got to go down in my book. Well,
to be honest, I've always had a bit of a soft spot for the hard luck cases, and well, looking at that armour, you're about as hard come as they get.
Hard luck case? I'll have you know I'm a tough and dwarven warrior woman.
Says, alright, and they make like decent armour, right, for their dwarven warriors. I always heard it. I always heard as you dwarves were like good at forging and that. Like, what's this bag of shite you're rolling in with?
Look, I'll kind of like look a little bit kind of dejected when I'll just be like kicked out of my clan. It's a long story. I could probably tell you.
She's like, I'll tell you what. Let me get another bottle.
That sounds good.
She heads off, comes back with another bottle, like half fills the tankards again. Roll me another d6. Yeah. That's fine, thank you very much. She fills both half fills both the tankards, like chinks it together with you again, and then she's like, "So you were saying?"
Yeah, effectively, John. I'll just regale her.
You regale the tale, and then she's like, "Well, lay you two on. What's your name anyway, stranger?"
Oh, my name's Maddox Weimar.
She's like, she's like Sarah Hinton.
Oh, nice to meet you, Sarah Hinton.
She's like, yeah, most folk just call me Hinton, but yeah, that's fine, whatever. And she's like, look, lay your money down, and I'll get you sorted. It's going to take best part of a week though to get it sorted out. I'm gonna have to get like new leather in. I'm gonna have to reforge that plate there.
I think we might be around for about a week. I don't know, but that should be fine. I'll give her 200 silver.
Okay, deduct that from the amount of money you have. And she's like, wow, if I'm going to get this bag of shit working, then I best get working. I best get the bellows heated up. Can't stand around here joring and chatting with dwarven warriors like yourself all day.
I'll just kind of like punch her in the leg. Like, hey, you get back to work and polish me up a turd.
She laughs and starts heading in the direction of the furnace.
Yeah.
Roll me another d6, please. So that's fine.
Yeah. Don't hear anything?
As you leave the blacksmith's, from the direction where you left your poor, deformed manservant, for want of a better term, you can hear all these like jeers and shouting and like voices going, "Go on, get on out of here! We don't want your sort around here." And as you sort of like round the corner into the street where you left him, you can see your deformed like man sort of like, and there's basically like a load of crowd like throwing stones at him, and a couple of like people are like holding sticks, and like when they get close enough, they're just like.
I would.
And
like
he's like, backing off.
I would like to run up to one of the ones with the stick and just slap him with the Dirtmoor cat paw.
Okay, go for it. Make an attack roll. Don't worry about the damage because you're just like.
Wait, how do I do a normal attack roll? Is it just...
It's just a d20 plus whatever your melee attack score is.
Or just click one of your melee. It should be
Okay,
the same
yeah.
anyway.
Okay, so what happens in order to like speed through this isn't like a massive combat counter.
Yeah.
Basically, you wade in with this like claw. You go to like slap this guy around the face, and he just sort of rocks back and then like beans you in the face with his stick he's holding. And this whole sort of like this whole like mini brawl basically breaks out, which takes like a minute or two max to like resolve, and you're eventually able to like extract yourself and your malformed companion, and the two of you basically leg it away from this crowd, like losing them in the side streets. However, you've taken 3 hit points of damage, like, and that's from like the whole brawl basically.
Yeah. Okay. I hope that I gave them some licking as well.
Oh yeah, of course you do. Yeah, there's like going to be a lot of people like nursing like swollen jaws and like bruises.
More cat claw.
But you sort of run away into like the side streets and lose them as you can hear someone going like, "Oh, call the guard!" And you're like, "Time to go."
Mate.
And you lose them in the side streets. However, because you've just been like running down alleyways and whatever, you've not really been paying attention to where you're going. You're just like, "Oh, I've got to get away. Fucking hell, come on, can't you move a bit faster?" Like trying to chivvy him along a bit. Mm-hmm. You're pretty much sort of like turned around. You're not really sure where you are in the city because you don't have like a map of the city. You've not really been here a great deal exploring, so you're pretty much like lost in the city at the minute.
Okay.
At which point, obviously, your companion's like, "Thank you for saving me."
What happened to Don't Talk?
He basically says, he's like, "Oh, I didn't talk. A small child ran up and sort of peeked under the cloak, saw my face, and they ran away screaming. The next thing, people were like pelting stones and hitting me with sticks."
All right.
And he's like, I tried to tell them, but they wouldn't let me leave.
Right, that's all right. It's all right. By the way, what's your name?
Blop.
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 Blot.
That's right, Blop.
All right, Blot. Blot, do you know where the chuff we are? Because I don't know.
He looks around a bit and he's like, "I'm not sure. Normally I don't come into the city when it's daylight."
Oh, shite. Stay. Oh, God.
I think at this point, while you're considering what to do, we're going to cut away.
Fine.
So Sasha and Odrin, is there anything you guys are doing at the minute? I know Odrin, you've sort of done your herbs, so more sort of like Sasha first. Is there anything you want to?
Yeah. She wants to buy some fancy clothing, some extravagant.
Are you just buying that normally on the sort of open market?
Yeah.
That's fine. Just deduct the cost. It's not difficult to find someone selling clothing in the marketplace.
Yeah,
You just like head for the centre of town. There's the marketplace. Got cash. Give me clothes.
Like market dishes, yeah. And she'll try to see if she can find some information about what exactly is wrong with the water, and maybe is it all the wells and stuff like that. So I guess.
What sort of person are you asking? You just like stopping someone in the street? Are you looking for like a guard?
A little of both, I guess.
Well, you can't really ask a person who's a person and a guard. They're either a guard or they're not. But you mean you're just generally asking loads of people?
Well, I mean, if she sees some of like street urchin running about, they seem to always know what's going on. If not, she will ask a guard. Yeah.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. Finding a guard isn't difficult. As you approach the stations sporadically throughout the city, you see him standing there in his regalia, holding his pikeman's armour, holding a pike. As you walk up, he sort of watches you approach.
So we'll go up to him, try to act all demure and respectful. Hello, sir.
Ma'am?
I'm out gathering information about the water crisis.
His eyes narrow a bit, and he says, "Now, why would a little thing like you be gathering information on that, miss?"
Well, I work for an adventuring company.
I'm just to check at this point, by the way. Is your your green face covered in any way, or are you just like green and proud?
Well, she has the what the fuck did we call it? The band covering her head and all that. And she have a scarf, but she, I mean, it's more suspicious if she goes around with it up. So it's around her neck. So yeah, you can see her green tinted face.
Okay, that's fine. He says, "You say you work. Are you all right, miss? You seem to be a little bit off colour. You haven't been drinking any from any of the tainted wells, have you, miss?"
I hope not. No, no. I'm sad to say I have some elven blood in me.
He sort of takes half a step backwards as you say that.
So that's probably what you're referring to?
Well, I wouldn't know about any devilish, elfish going on, miss. Is there anything I can help you with?
Yes, we understand that the water is spoiled.
Well, yes, that's right. You must have heard the announcements from the various criers.
Exactly. And my captain is looking into helping with that situation.
Well, we could certainly use the help, miss.
So, could you explain, is it water from every well? Or is it just some of the wells?
It seems to be all the wells at the moment, miss. And from what I understand, all of the wells in the city of Plymouth are fed from the same underground source. It's been a little bit difficult, you see, 'cause back in the day when Plymouth was just a small sort of smuggler's port, the smugglers tunnelled into caves and made their own passage. Most buildings around here, if you look in the cellars, they've got passages linking them together, used by the old rum runners and such back in the day. Unfortunately, when the original town burnt down, a lot of the records were lost, so no one really has an extensive map of the tunnels. So it's been a bit difficult to say exactly where the water source is, you see. That's been the main problem.
But do you know of other adventuring companies who have ventured underground to see if they could solve this?
Yes, I know of at least 3 that went underground, miss. One of them came back saying they hadn't found anything, and 2 of them just disappeared.
Do you know where they entered?
Yes, various different wells around the city, and none of them went in via the same entrance. I believe one of them went in via the old tunnels near the docks. I think one of them gained a special permit to use one of the entrances to the waterways by the cathedral, and I forget where the third one went in.
Okay. And the city, Duke Salt wouldn't mind if an adventuring company went underground to investigate this? Or do we have to announce it to him?
Well, I believe he'd certainly be more inclined to view it favourably if you were to announce your intentions to him or one of his representatives. But I think at the moment he's mainly focused on results, miss. Duke Salt's very big on results. As he's often been heard to say, talk is cheap.
Yes. And taxes are expensive.
I'm sorry, miss, I didn't quite catch that.
Oh, it's okay. So, any well is tainted. We have an alchemist among us who would like to test the water. So
Well,
can I just go and draw some water from a well?
Yes, and draw water from any of the wells, and your alchemist should be able to look at it. The only way we've found at the minute is to have people drinking small beers rather than water, which obviously has the expected effect. Civil disorder has risen distinctly. People are just drinking beer all the time. It was bound to happen.
Is this previous brewed beer from before the water was tainted, or
No. It's brewed with the water, but I'm not a brewer, miss, but I'm given to understand that something in the brewing process kills whatever it is in the water that's making it unsafe. Well, at least that's what I've heard. Like I say, I'm no brewer, miss.
yes? Okay. Well, thank you. I have been advised to offer a small compensation and to give some 5 silver.
He takes it off you and disappears it into a pouch on his belt, and he's like, "Thank you, miss. Just do my job."
And she flies over and fills one of her flasks with the water.
That is absolutely fine. You have a flask of tainted well water.
And she goes back to the inn.
Okay, so is everyone sort of regrouping back at the inn after your various endeavours?
Assuming I can find my way back.
Okay. Well, roll me a d6, Maddox.
Because my rolling always goes well.
Yeah, your character isn't dead, you just got lost.
Okay, it takes you a little bit of time, but eventually you do make it back to the inn.
Okay.
It takes you a little bit longer because you're having to stick to the side streets and the alleyways, so you don't get any more mini riots breaking out.
Yeah. I'll kind of when I get back into the pub, just kind of get in and shut the door behind me and get up against the door.
Yeah, so the rest of you guys have all been sat down for a few minutes. You've got drinks on the table, some food's been bought for you. You all just starting to think oh, Maddox's taking his time. When you hear a and the door's shut and there's him and Blot there and Maddox against the door
Before he gets back, Sasha would like to cast the detect magic underwater up in her room, away from
Okay.
the fire.
That's absolutely fine. You do that. You're not detecting anything magical from it.
Okay.
And then obviously later on, Maddox comes in
with a slightly blooded Dirtmore cat paw. Blot, go upstairs. Fuck off.
Okay. And he sort of starts shuffling his way. You can see the other people who are sat around in the pub are
I see you had fun.
I'll just sit down and just be shut up. Give me a pint.
You can see that Maddox got various small cuts and bruises on his face and his arms.
Do we need to bind you again?
After you get me a pint. Aye.
I've got some, I think, good news.
What's that?
I pull out my dagger. That's the dagger we got from the priest.
Right.
What do you think this thing is worth?
I don't know. Probably a lot more than that armor you sold me.
I went to appraise this thing, and the trader said it is worth at least 14,000 silver.
Oh, that
Right.
much.
The thing is, maybe we could get a lot more when we find the right buyer for that. And then also, it's pretty useful, but I'm pretty sure we could need the money currently. It doesn't make any sounds, and I tuck it on the table, and
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sounds.
William taps it on the edge of the table. It makes no sound whatsoever.
Okay, well, that's good news. Because
Aye.
we need the money.
I think we should hire the accountant first, which we wanted to acquire anyways. Maybe he could help getting a better deal for us.
By the way, I've hired a blacksmith to fix that armor up. It's going to take about a week.
Okay. I was out and trying to find out about this water.
As you say about the water, Maddox is like, oh yeah, I was going to try and find out about that, but I got involved in a riot. How'd it go?
It seems it's very well, and it seems if they brew it into a beer, it can mitigate the infection, the taint. Do you know anything about that, Ogren? Is that some sort of thing? That
I don't think so, no.
But
Wouldn't
anyways, there have been 3 adventuring companies who went underground to see if they could find something. 1 came back and found nothing, and 2 are lost. So
And
the
just
good news is we have to go underground to investigate that. So that will be fun times for you, Will.
I've got no problems with that. Out of character, is it common knowledge that you have to heat your water to get rid of infection stuff in this world?
It's not. It's known to some people. It's not massively common knowledge. However, I'd be quite happy for you to know that, given your destiny related to like water demons, etc. So,
Okay. Maybe you just have to heat the water, boil it maybe once, and that's it. I'm pretty sure they're boiling it with making whatever this shit is.
Yeah. I was thinking it probably got tainted by gloomium, but then it would be green, right? And she looks at Ogren again.
Oh, by the way, this dagger is also made from chromium, but it's stable. That's why it's so expensive.
Stable gloomium?
Yeah. He called it... I made my notes. It's median.
while this conversation is going on, what's Odrin doing?
Well, I think he's probably doting on the wife now that he has his herbs.
Okay, so just to keep you in the sort of like the conversation that's going on, I'll say that you've Argilia's awake. She seems fine. You've sort of like brought her downstairs, made her comfortable, so she's like sat at the table with you next to her, so gazing lovingly at you.
Yeah, we're doing the whole like batty eye thing, and probably eating something there as well. But like Odrin isn't really like contributing to the discussion that much, other than like regarding the beer stuff.
One thing you have noticed is just obviously you're there with Argilia, you're not really paying attention to what these guys are talking about. You notice that every time like she looks quite hungry, like you see like her eyes sort of light up every time some food's brought to the table. But every time the food's brought to the table, she sort of goes as though she's going to take some, and she's like, oh, and like pushes it away.
How much of, I mean, is it visible she's pregnant?
Yeah, she's got a big bump.
So, what, close to whatever it's called, giving birth?
Fairly close, yeah.
Delivery, it's called, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, you're no expert, but you'd guesstimate like maybe like a week or two.
I'm guessing it, since she comes from a noble family, they are really big on births and all that. I think we need to get you a midwife as soon as possible.
Well, no, I'm fine with one wife for now. Thank you.
Yeah, it's an expert who knows a lot about being pregnant and delivering the child without the child dying.
When Odrin makes that comment as well, Maddox just kind of like sighs and starts pouring beer over his injured face.
I just try to bind your wounds after you've done that, just to rub it in.
Yeah.
I rolled a d4 again because you lost 3 hit points, I assume.
So, midwife, accountant can wait. I think we should, instead of going in blind, we should see about the brewing of the beer. I mean, I don't know if they brew their own beer here, or they get it outside from a brewery.
If the problem is the tainted water, wouldn't it be sensible to look into that instead of beer?
Yeah, but beer is connected to the water.
You had like a slightly drunken person on like one of the adjoining tables go, "I tell you what, I'll look into some beer for you. Another couple over here, mid up."
Yeah, that comedian.
Is Jenny around?
Indeed, she is. She stood over by the bar, sort of surveying the room, make sure no one's causing any trouble.
Says she tries to call her over.
Yeah, you gesture and she comes sashaying over and she says, I trust the food and drinks to your liking.
Yeah, 2 questions.
Okay.
Brew your own beer?
Oh, no, we get it from Scrags.
For Scrags, so we need to go to Scrags. The second question, given your side business, I assume you have contacts with some midwives?
No, not really. My girls take certain, and she looks a little bit embarrassed, and she said, certain herbal preparations, if you understand what I mean.
Okay.
So we don't need that thing. That's the thing.
Maybe you could. I mean, since you're from the city, maybe you could help us find a good midwife for Agilia.
Well, but most people don't use midwives. It's only nobles and some highfalutin people like that who can afford specialised people to help them give birth. Most of the rest of us just have to like push and hope.
Well, we would like to get a midwife.
Yeah, I'll just kind of like sip, just turn my head and be like, "Aye, most people don't have a weird thing going on."
Well, I don't have the necessary. I mean, I'm no noble. I don't have the contacts you need to hire someone like that. You need to speak to someone far higher up the social ladder than me. I mean, I'm just a little lonely tavern proprietor.
I'm just whispering to Sasha. I would want to get a midwife just to see her face when this thing comes out.
Yeah, no. But, I mean, we can't just go up to the Duke and say, "Hey, can we borrow your midwife?" There must be other midwives.
Well, yes, but most of them are indentured and working for the various nobles around the city. You need to speak to one of them, assuming you could even get an audience with one of them in the first place. I certainly wouldn't be able to. I mean, and one of the nobles wouldn't even give me the time of day.
Well, it seems imminent that she's due to deliver.
I tell you what, I could go to find a doctor-esque person to just, stitch my back up and see if I can get a midwife on the way.
Yeah.
I won't take Lumpy with me this time. That'll cause all sorts of shit.
I think no. I think you and Ogren needs to travel with the rest of us for now on.
Hey, don't lump me in the Ogren group. I can go out and have normal things happen.
What's an Ogren group?
I'm finishing binding you up, and I'm just nodding.
Yeah, I'm just like, as in Ogren, you attract the most powerful foes because you're so strong.
Yes.
That makes sense.
There seems to be a pendant for that happening. And
I'm just trying to keep your back safe, that's all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, my back was fine during the brawl.
Yeah.
My front.
Totally. There was just a giant cat on it.
No, that was in one particular fight. Nothing else has snuck up behind me. Things have snuck things through me, but nothing snuck up behind me.
But childbirth is not... I mean, it can be dangerous. So.
I'm looking at Audrin. Do you want her to survive this thing? Giving birth?
Yes.
Then we get a midwife.
Okay, I suppose Yeah, if Sasha thinks it's appropriate, then we can go buy one.
I
What?
think it,
Can we come back to this dagger for a second? Do we want to sell it or not?
sure.
I don't want it.
If it's worth that much.
As I said, I would want to get an accountant first, but when do we want to do that? When we have finished with our business here?
Well, the thing is, since Magilia is this far in to the pregnancy, I mean, do you have any? She kind of looks around at all the dudes at the table. Contractions? Have you had a child before?
Me?
No, Agilia. She was at the table, right? The
Yeah.
girl?
She sort of like, as you like say her name, she sort of looks at from where she's been gazing lovingly at Audrun, and she says, "Oh, no."
Okay. And how?
As I told Audrun, I always thought that it wasn't going to be possible for me to have a child, and it's only by the blessings of Dagon that this miracle has happened.
Praise Dagon.
Praise Dagon.
What did you do back in your homelands?
Me or Audrun?
You.
Well, I left my homelands when I was very young, so I didn't do a lot there. But I gather that from what I remember, I certainly don't remember there being any of these midwives around back in the Wall. And, well, people have obviously been born there for hundreds of years, so I presume it's possible.
Yeah, but don't you have a? I mean, most of those babies die, right?
Well, yeah, yes, the weaker ones would die, but that's how we'd ensure that the tribe remains strong.
But would you prefer to do it your way?
Well, I'm sure that whatever blessing Dagon has bestowed upon myself and Audrun, he wouldn't have done it simply to have me lose the child during birth.
I can sympathize with that. I killed a couple of my siblings when I grew up.
She nods.
Okay, so we will not get the midwife. Ogren, do you wish us to wait going down and underground and risking limbs and lives? Or since she's that close to giving birth?
Well, how many days do you plan on spending there? Looking for beer and whatnot.
Well, it's probably gonna take. Maybe we can do it today. Maybe tomorrow. So a day more of checking out the breweries, and then.
We need to get supplies first if we want to plan to go in there longer.
Yeah, and you know how it usually goes when we go underground.
You mean we don't have enough equipment and go out again?
I mean, it's really dangerous, and stuff can happen to people. So.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Maybe he would like to see his child born before he goes down and die.
Well, you can see it when he comes out again.
I'm just saying it's potential lethal to go underground.
It's potentially lethal to sit at this table here.
Underground is no more lethal than above ground.
There's people coming to my door with fucking fish and knives, and I always can't tell which is which. So I think if we take a trip below, it's not going to change much.
Okay. May I suggest that we leave either Hamo or Hamish up here to kind of keep her company?
I whispered to her again, you know that there were 2 dead cats right next to her, and we only killed one of them. Just saying.
Maybe. Okay, fine. He looks automatic. That's something. Okay, so it's settled. Investigation brewery, going down to find the tainted water, collect 5,000, and go home. Oh yeah, and then accountant too.
An accountant and sell the dagger for the 3 times the worth of this whole endeavor. So, yeah.
And pick up my armor and not get attacked anymore.
Great.
As you're having this discussion, you obviously, Jenny has like drifted back over to the bar. As you're sort of like looking around at Sasha, you see what appears to be a young urchin comes in off the street. A young girl, pretty about your height, to be honest, walks over to Jenny and starts like talking to her, and you see Jenny sort of pointing over to the table that you're all sat at.
I'll turn, brandishing the Dirtmoor paw.
You see this young urchin, that flat cap, short, raggedy bowl cut hair, the lot.
Please, mister.
Comes sort of like walking over to you, and she sort of like looks around you all, and then she sees William and says, "Oh, got a message for you." And she holds up like a little envelope.
From whom?
Says, but I was paid not to ask any questions. I was just told if I came here, I had to find...
I take it.
You take it off, and you can see that on the front of it, it just says WH. In sort of like immaculately calligraphied writing.
I give her a silver coin.
She's like, "Oh, thank you, miss," and she like scampers off on her way.
I break the seal for if it has any and open it and look in it.
Okay, you open it and you see again in the same immaculately calligraphied writing the letter says, "Master William, I must inform you that the person you hired me to look into has arrived in Porthcrawl along with a number of other individuals and several apprentices. I am continuing to observe them and will apprise you further if any more details should develop." And then it just says, it's just signed WH at the bottom of it.
Is there a candle on the top of the table?
Yep.
I burn it.
You burn the letter.
Our guest has arrived. That's all.
Oh.
Corbin is there with his entourage. We will get more information once he learns something more.
Yeah. Okay. So brewery. So we'll go talk to Scrag. Would you be okay here, Ogren? Or you want to come? Given your herbal expertise? Maybe you could look at the stuff they put into the beer?
No, just out of curiosity, Sasha, what exactly do you want to accomplish doing that?
Well, if there's something in it that neutralizes this, maybe we can use that if we somehow get tainted ourselves.
That's a good point.
I mean, last time I got sick, I don't want to do that again.
Wait, what happened the last time you got sick?
We could try something. I could call one of my rats and we could try to do some experiments with my rats, trying to establish once these don't die anymore.
Ooh, yeah. Can you make your rats scour through all the tunnels underneath and see if they see something extraordinary?
Sadly, my power seems to work only in my close vicinity. I can call them to me, but then like when they got away from me to a certain range, it was 30 feet, I'm not sure.
But can you speak to them?
I can give them commands, I can't listen to them exactly.
Okay.
I could tell them to find something for me which looks a certain way. I tested it a bit. I'm not no expert yet.
Okay, so you need to know what you're looking for in order for them to find something.
Exactly. But it only works in close to me, so it doesn't make any sense to just send out rats in the sewers because it wouldn't work in a very long way. You can use them to scout ahead to maybe look for potential danger, but that's it.
The problem is that the entire underground here is littered with tunnels and caves and everything, and there are many entrances.
The thing is, if all of the wells are somehow infected with this thing, there has to be somewhere a source where all the water comes from, where the wells get their water from, and maybe if all of them are infected, we have to just look into the source.
Yes, we need to find the source. And they had a map, but unfortunately it burned down. Well, it burned.
Is there another way to find the source of this water? I'm looking at Audrin. He's a god, priest of a god of water. I know a bit about water. Maybe with our combined knowledge we can figure something out.
I mean, it will come from rivers.
Is there a river flowing through the city?
There's certainly no above-ground river.
Is there a way to find underground rivers?
We will have to go deeper underground.
And just follow
You know what I'm
water.
saying.
Just follow the water in the opposite direction until we find something.
Are you suggesting, Audrin, that there's too much panic in this town?
I'm getting the feeling that there is.
We could try it, at least. It's a plan.
But unless you can turn into a fish, I think it's going to be difficult to follow the rivers underneath.
Just kind of from a almost face down position on the thing, I'm just like, can you turn into a fish?
I am basically a fish, but I can't turn into one.
I'll just be like, all right.
It's not really a fish, you know. I'm just looking kind of like one.
You don't look like a... You know what? I'm going to get another pint. I'll just kind of waddle off some bar.
Maybe we should have some long talk somewhere in the future.
But hey, you can... I mean, you won't drown, Hawkran, if you go underwater.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we have that. But
Rats can swim pretty well too.
But we need some sort of... We need to find some sort of entrance point where it makes sense.
The sewers?
Question, is there a sewer network in this town, John?
There is indeed. It's a city. It does have a sewer of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
It has to get some water from somewhere, so...
Yeah, but I mean, outside there's an entrance, right? We were down in it, and there was an underground river down there.
That's true. But was it a river, or was it from... What is this, an exit to the sea?
It was an exit to the sea.
So no river.
Okay, well, one of the guards said that there was a cave entrance to the tunnel systems down by the docks.
Oh, I thought you meant the place where we fought the demon.
Yeah, I did, but...
Okay. So I would suggest we just go into the sewers and look for the source of the water. Sounds simple enough. I wouldn't overcomplicate it. It's only 5,000 silver.
That's how far Will has come. Only
Yes.
5,000
I have got a fucking dagger that's worth 3 times that much.
Yeah.
And I don't want to know how much my armor would be worth, though.
That's true.
I'm hoarding all this expensive stuff in this group, so...
Okay, so what's the plan, guys?
Getting supplies and getting into the sewers would be my suggestion. We could test a bit with this water. I would call some rats, let one rat drink a bit from the water, see how long it takes until it dies, or maybe show some symptoms, and then boil it and try it again. Then maybe mix in some stuff and try it again.
Well, if you just spend like asking someone, maybe Jenny or something, what is the effect of the thing? I mean, does people get sick?
She says yes. People get terribly sick. They get pale. They can't keep any of their food down. Then once they get really thin because they can't eat any food, their hair starts falling out. Oh, it's terrible.
But do they recover or do they pass away?
Well, they pass away eventually. I mean, no end of people died of it before we realised what was causing it.
I just let my rats drink a lot of it, and then should work faster.
Well,
you do notice, like, you give it to some of your rats, and within 6 hours, they're starting to look extremely sickly.
I'll boil it and try again.
You boil it, try it again, same result.
Okay, that's not it.
Jenny says to you, yes, that's you may have noticed that the beer we sell here is extremely strong. It didn't always used to be this strong, but apparently, so I've heard, it's the only way to make sure it's safe. Something to do with the amount of alcohol in it. I don't really claim to understand.
I mix in some alcohol with the water and try again.
I guess Maddox is safe then with the amount of alcohol he has in his veins. So.
You mix in a little bit of the water with like this very, very strong beer and feed it to your rat, and aside from being like very inebriated, the rat seems okay.
So we have to just put in a lot of alcohol into all the wells and the problem will be done. Sounds like a good plan to me.
Yeah, but there has to be something in the water supply that's tainting it. So yeah, that's since I don't have anything else, let's try to go into the sewers. But I don't think they are connected to the water supply, though. That would be ill-advised.
Why not?
Sewers tend to have already tainted water just running out into the sea, whereas the water supply has to be clean.
But the sewers need to have some kind of water supply to flush away all the shit.
I suppose so. I mean, but I'm not an architect, so I don't know anything about that.
I'm side-eyeing Maddox.
Yeah, I'll just kind of like sigh as I know that I'm about to be asked about it.
Maddox, what do you know about sewers?
Let me have a think.
Would you like to roll me a d6?
Joke shit.
You know nothing about sewers. That wasn't really your bag.
Yeah, I was going like, you know what? In my time looking around at buildings and designing them odd one, I've never designed a magic shitter.
Well, I've never swum in shit too, so...
Are we going into a sewer?
No, I
Yes.
think... John, what is... It's an aquifer? Where they gather all the water before they... Is that the word?
Yep.
Do they have that in the city?
Nope.
Is there any check we could make to guess where the underground river may come from?
Well, you could make an educated guess that obviously since the land sort of dips down until it meets the sea, it's probably sort of originates somewhere higher up and then flows down towards the sea.
Is there a mountain somewhere nearby?
There's not mountains, but the land is like hillier and sort of rises up as you head eastwards.
Maybe that's a better guess, because if we get to the source first, then we don't have to go through the sewers.
Yes.
Anything that results in me not having to swim in shit, I vote for.
But maybe we should get someone who knows about rivers or caves or or at least the surrounding lands.
I'll just be like, hang on a minute. One sec. And I'll walk off upstairs to my room.
Okay.
Like, hey, bird, you. I'm just kind of pointing.
Yeah.
Oh. Have you ever had to run and hide in the sewers?
Oh, yes.
So do you know them pretty well?
Well, I don't know all of them.
Do you know where they originate?
Oh, yes, up in the hills.
Could you show us?
He nods.
Oh, right. I'll shout over the banisters. Lumpy knows where the sewers go.
Well, I think it's settled then. I tried to gather some supplies for all of us and get our cart ready.
Okay, so it seems to me that you guys are effectively suggesting getting blocked to take you up into the hills to where this potential underground river flows, and you're then going to try and like get down to this underground river and find the source of the water to find out what's tainting it. Would that be correct?
Yes.
Okay, so since this is obviously effectively a bit of a dungeon crawl, what I'm going to suggest is I'm going to suggest we wrap up tonight's session here. Then obviously I'll prepare for that. We can have a whole like hilly, sewery, shit-ridden dungeon crawl next session, and we'll go into that with like the full Roll20 and
Sounds like
all of
fun.
that malarkey. Splendid. Well, I know this was a bit ad hoc, guys, but I hope you still all enjoyed the session.
Yes.
Yeah, I always enjoy leaking my HP all around the realm.
Spreading them HP for days.
Yeah, exactly. Take their points.
Okay, well, thank you guys for playing, and obviously thank you to anyone who is watching this. Obviously, I'll work out the XP, because I'm going to give you some XP despite the fact that like you didn't really like kill a great deal or whatever. I'm just going to give you some XP because I think
You killed one cat.
I think besides killing the cat, you did get like a fair amount accomplished to like move the plot along during the game. So I'll work that out during like the next day or two and post it up on the Facebook group. But I'm quite happy to chat for a bit as always after the recording finishes. But for now, I'm going to stop the stream and end the recording. So thank you for watching, anybody. Take care. We'll see you soon.
Thank you for
Hey
jamming.
guys, and if you ever want to catch us live, come and check us on the Red Dice Diaries Twitch channel.
Dumb plugs.